All right, but good Monday afternoon to you. I'm forecaster Nick Dunn here with the Bell Park Weather Network along with forecaster John Tinney. We are currently watching severe thunderstorms working across central Indiana this afternoon, and now they're starting to make their way towards the Ohio border as well. It should be noted we do have a new tornado watch that has been issued. I'm going to adjust the map just a little bit so you can see that. This is going to include a good portion of the Scioto Valley back into the Miami Valley as well. This goes until 6 p.m. this evening. And this is because we've been monitoring thunderstorms with tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings. Thankfully, to this point, we've not had any confirmed reports of tornadoes, but it is worth noting that we do need to monitor for that potential. We could see a few tornadoes this afternoon, along with some damaging winds and some large hail. Hail really not as big of a concern, but we have had some reports of hail today. We've had a few reports of tornadoes back across Illinois. Locally, right now, we have a couple different things I do want to talk about. First off, a tornado warning for portions of Anderson, Indiana. This is going to be back across Madison County, Indiana, until 2 o'clock this afternoon. This is a radar-indicated rotation. This is not something that we have seen confirmed by anybody. And, John, we've had a lot of these today where we have seen radar indicated rotation signatures, and thankfully, since we've had the storms this morning in Illinois, we've had no confirmed tornadoes, but we still need to be on alert.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll tell you what, if you look at the correlation coefficient, it does begin to look a little interesting down there just to the south of Pendleton. So we'll need to watch it closely.
Yes, absolutely.
But I can't
absolutely.
say definitively that that's debris.
Yeah, and we've had that a couple different times today where it looks like it might be, but we've not seen any confirmations from our weather service offices. So something to keep in mind. So a tornado warning for Madison County, Indiana till 2 o'clock. A severe thunderstorm warning for Hancock County, Indiana till 2:15. Another severe thunderstorm warning for the city of Richmond and Connorsville, tagged tornado possible until 2:30 this afternoon. So that's going to be Wayne, Fayette, and Union counties in east central Indiana. And of note, there is a very strong storm with a donut hole on radar just to the west of the Cincinnati Metro, north of Versailles. And wow, look at that right there near Napoleon. You can see very deep purples here. I'm kind of surprised there's not a warning. Let me refresh the warnings again just to make sure. Yeah, there is no warning here. That's a little concerning. That's going to be just to the south of I-74. So if you live here to the south of Batesville, in between there and Versailles, around Napoleon and Osgood, you can see the latest scan there. Wow, there's actually a distinct donut hole on reflectivity. That's a little concerning. Sometimes that can preclude to some other things. Let's look at velocity real quick, and we'll kind of see what we're looking at. From the Indianapolis, okay, there's our severe thunderstorm warning. I was going to say it was just a matter of time, but it is now tagged tornado possible. So that's going to be for Dearborn, Ripley, and Franklin counties in southeastern Indiana until 2:15 this afternoon, moving to the northeast at 55 miles per hour. So again, you're talking Napoleon, Batesville, and up to about Brookville and Cedar Grove around Sunman, and also around the St. Leon area. We're talking about that potential of seeing some hail up to maybe penny size and damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. Back up to the north real quick. Those of you around Anderson, this storm still looks a little bit wrapped up here. This is about to cross into eventually Henry County and maybe even Delaware County, Indiana, around Muncie and Newcastle. So don't be surprised if we see a new warning issued for those areas momentarily. There's no lightning on this storm right now either, but you see just a little bit wrapped up here. You can kind of see your notch is going to be here, okay, leaving a little bit of a drop off in reflectivity, and then your precipitation is going to wrap around the backside. So that's kind of where we're watching right now for that potential. Again, we do not have any confirmed reports of a tornado. That doesn't mean we won't see one, though, as we continue to move forward in time. Zooming things out for you as a whole, we have kind of a broken squall type line, if you will, across north central Indiana from about Kokomo to Warsaw. That will continue pushing off to the east-northeast. A couple strong storms into Grant County around Kokomo as well, pushing off towards the northeast. And John, did you have something?
No, my wife was telling me. I got a report from a viewer said saw several drop downs that went back up near Kewanna in the Thornhope area, and that was from earlier, Nick. So thank you, Janet Bradley, for that report. No, my wife was informing me that Casey, she is not under the tornado warning yet.
Okay.
Your mom is in Muncie. She is not under the tornado warning yet.
Yeah, good to know. Thanks for that. And
Sorry that.
Oh no, you're good. Nope, I was just checking out a couple
Family in
of
the
things here
past.
too. Absolutely, it's all very important. Um, Another cell that's got my attention here, and it kind of looks like a seahorse just a little bit, right here around Greenfield. We always try to keep things a little bit light around here sometimes. Can't always be, um, down and negative all the time, but kind of an interesting looking structure on reflectivity. Sometimes we see little interesting things on reflectivity, but here around Greenfield, we're seeing some reports of some hail, and this will move in towards Newcastle shortly. So that'll be moving into Henry County, Indiana, to the south of Muncie. So we'll watch that cell closely. Let's jump into Richmond here real quick. This is a really nasty looking thunderstorm coming through Connorsville. Look at all this lightning here. Just on this storm alone, 75 lightning strikes in the last 20 minutes. That's very impressive. We're seeing a bit of hail here potentially as well around the Connorsville area and points just to the north. That's going to be moving off to the northeast towards Richmond. And I'm looking to see, we do not have a new tornado warning that I'm aware of. I did not get a text, at least for any of my counties. I'm going to step off screen here for just a second. Okay, so these are just continuations of severe thunderstorm warnings at this point. The Cincinnati Luckin Airport just reported a 51-mile-per-hour wind gust, and that's away from thunderstorm activity. So there's no thunderstorm in the Cincinnati area at this point. Just something to kind of keep notice as we're seeing some strong gradient winds ahead of these thunderstorms this afternoon. And John, a couple things too I'm noticing. These cells that are around Anderson to Richmond and then down towards to the south of Richmond, they're very much kind of by themselves. They're not really competing with much. And so we'll have to watch these for the best chance of tornadoes this afternoon.
That's the type of thing that has to be watched closely. So yeah, make sure if you're in this extended or the new tornado watch, make sure that you're watching these storms closely because they're in an environment that is quite favorable for them to rotate. So I expect that we're going to continue to see this process of on and off tornado warnings throughout the afternoon and evening.
I would certainly tend to agree with you on that. Let's put a track on a couple of these storms real quick just to kind of get you up to speed. These storms are moving off relatively quickly here at about 50 miles per hour. I'm going to lower the time on this just a little bit. Okay, so 45 minutes. Yeah, I'm good with that. So let's give you an updated track on a couple of these storms here just real quick. Again, moving off to the northeast at speeds upwards of 45 to even upwards of 50 miles per hour. We'll take a little bit faster than that. So we're talking Centerville, Indiana, and Richmond, Indiana by about 205 to 210. Looking at moving into West Manchester, 227. Moving into Arcanum there in Darke County at 235. So we'll watch this storm very closely. Again, it's got a little bit of that supercell type characteristic to it. And even the one behind it, kind of in Shelbyville, that's going to track across the same area. We have a tornado warning now in effect for Dearborn, Franklin, and Ripley counties in southeast Indiana. This one I was definitely concerned about. Let's jump down now to the southeast. This is the one that had a donut hole on reflectivity. So we have a radar indicated rotation now to the south of Batesville. And I'm going to switch this over to the Wilmington radar to get us a better look at this one. See if we can get this to pull up here. There we go. Oh yes, that is very much wrapped up in rain. This is a rain wrap situation here.
Look at that donut hole there, man. Wow.
Yeah, that's definitely concerning. So here's a look at Batesville. Okay, so if you're just to the south of Batesville, this is where we have, as you can see, that drop off in reflectivity. And John, that can sometimes really be a precursor to a tornado.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, if you're in the path of this thing, again, we urge you take your tornado precautions and get to a safe place immediately.
Yeah, let's go over to base velocity. Wow, that's very tight, it looks like to me, from the Wilmington radar. Of course, we're kind of looking a ways up from the Wilmington radar and from the Indianapolis radar even more so. So that's a little bit of a concern. So if you live in Batesville, we need you to be in a safe place right now, up to St. Leon, Brookville, Cedar Grove, and Mount Carmel here in southeastern Indiana. Dangerous thunderstorm. It is rotating, moving northeast, and it is by itself. This is what we were concerned about today. These type of storms that can kind of be a little bit more isolated. We were a little bit concerned about supercellular type thunderstorms today. And wow, crossing I-74 right now, that is some very dark purples. Let's put a track on this for you. Moving off to the northeast, we'll take it at about 50 miles per hour or so. So eventually, those of you here into Butler County, this is going to be into your neck of the woods here before too much longer. So we're talking Cedar Grove at 211, Oxford 227, But even in the interim, we're talking about Brookville here in about 15 minutes or so. Need to be in your safe place. We're talking about Cedar Grove in about 17 minutes, Mount Carmel in about 22 minutes. So just make sure you're in a safe place. Again, this is crossing I-74 right now with potential for a tornado. Again, it is radar indicated, but we are seeing some signs here on radar that there certainly is something going on in this area. And so we need you guys to be in a safe place. And again, there is a donut hole drop off on reflectivity and on velocity as well. So that's concerning. Now, correlation coefficient, I want to kind of point this out. Some of you may be looking at this and say, oh my gosh, there's a large tornado here. Well, from the radar site that we are looking at from Wilmington, these yellows and greens, it's actually shooting into the storm from the northeast. So this is going to be hail that is actually falling. And so this is going to be interesting to kind of watch this product. If we continue to see the storm strengthen, we may have to watch this for the potential of a tornado, but it's going to be kind of hard to see on correlation because there's so many yellows and greens and oranges already kind of wrapped up here, and the radar just moved on me there. But we're going to have to watch that very closely. So back over at reflectivity, this is a very dangerous thunderstorm crossing I-74 right now. This is going to be to the north of Sunman, moving off to the northeast. And John, that might be our best looking storm of the day, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. Again, with all of these that are warned, you got to take them seriously.
Absolutely.
These individual cells that are starting to increase in strength, again, have to be watched closely. So, if we call out your city, town, whatever, take it seriously. I know that a lot of you may have stepped outside going, boy, it doesn't feel like a severe weather day.
Absolutely. Definitely
not your typical severe weather day. This is one of those unique days where we're getting severe weather on really a lot more dynamic strength than we are mesoscale strength, really.
Yeah, and that's one thing to mention. We don't have extreme amounts of instability today. What we're looking at is extreme amounts of wind shear with limited type instability. So that's something we're going to kind of keep an eye on here and just see what develops. I'm going to try to get our warning ticker put up at the bottom here. Bear with me for just a second while I try to do that. Actually, I think we're going to hold off on that for the time being. But again, we'll just kind of keep you up to date on the warnings. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning as well up here for southeastern Delaware County. That's around Muncie, just to the southeast. The city of Muncie is not in the warning, but you're close. This also goes down into Henry County around Newcastle. It is tagged tornado possible from nickel-sized hail and winds to 60 miles per hour. Right here to the west of Newcastle, that'll continue to move off towards the northeast. That will eventually cross US 35, but the tornado warning for that area back into Madison County will expire shortly. That storm is not nearly showing the signs of rotation that it once did, but if you're south of Muncie, I would be indoors until that storm passes as well. The city of Richmond, the worst of that is about to come right into your area within the next few minutes, so just be prepared for that. The secondary storm behind it also into Shelbyville kind of holding its own at the present moment. Getting you back into the tornado warning, and I want to check real quick if we are close enough to use the terminal Doppler out of Cincinnati, and yes we are. Let's see if we're getting any interesting readings out of that. Yeah, so we are seeing some rotation here as well. It's a little bit broad. There's actually a TVS marker showing up there to the northwest of Sunman, but we're looking quite a ways up on the terminal Doppler, so I don't want to throw too much panic into that right now. But we are watching this very closely right here. These reds and greens together, that's an indication to me that there's still some rotation ongoing. And you can see this eventually will head up towards Cedar Grove, St. Leon, and back to Sunman. Again, that's crossing I-74 right now. Nobody should be driving on I-74 between Cincinnati and Indianapolis right now. If you're in kind of closer to Cincinnati, if you're heading westbound, if you're in Cincinnati and trying to head west, I would just hold tight. If you're coming out of Indianapolis, say you're in Greensburg, I would hold tight and just let the storm pass on by before you resume your travels. Obviously, nobody should be traveling and driving in a tornado warning area. Now, going back to the Wilmington radar, this velocity is a little noisy, so we can also go over to what's called storm relative velocity. That's also a little noisy, but John, this is probably, I think, also our best signature of the day, not just on reflectivity, but even on velocity and things too.
Yeah, I mean, and it's usually those those southern storms that will do a little better than the ones to the north. And again, Aaron, that when we talk about ingredients for severe weather, the ingredients are a little better the further south you go. So
Yeah, and real quick too, John, we've got another rotation, couplet popping, or not a couplet, it's starting to be a couplet now, to the southwest of Richmond. We've got a donut hole on reflectivity again from the Wilmington radar. So what we're talking about, you see this area here, this circle, which it's right there, where you have the yellows that are surrounded by the reds and the purples. That's what we call a donut hole or a drop off on reflectivity.
It's a pretty tight couplet there too. I wouldn't be surprised to see that
Yeah, go
tornado warned here pretty quick.
Oh, yes. Okay, so I'll tell you what, folks, if you're in Richmond, I would go ahead and move to your tornado shelters right now if I were you. That is a very strong return on storm relative velocity.
Anybody north and east of Connersville.
Yeah.
And then just updated the severe warning.
Yeah,
so
and
I'm wondering
they do maintain a tornado tag on that. I can't see the Weather Service chat from here. I'm sure Tyler or Zach will let me know if they see anything in there that looks concerning, or maybe they can kind of give us a precursor if they plan to issue.
And then the rotation is increasing on that one near just to the east of Rushville too.
Yeah, I was watching that one as well. The Wilmington radar appears to be running a little hot today or something on the velocity. It's not the right color table, but that's okay. Oh, you're talking. Okay, so you're talking about the secondary storm. Okay, right there behind.
Yeah,
okay.
coming up behind it there, Nick.
Yeah, so we could see a secondary warning potentially coming up for the Connersville area shortly if this holds together. Sometimes when these storms kind of follow the same paths, you can sometimes see the back storm doesn't quite perform as well, but in today's environment, it does not take much to get anything up and going. So we're watching all this very closely. So right now we have one active tornado warning for for Franklin, Dearborn, and Ripley counties in southeastern Indiana. Radar indicated rotation with a definite hook echo and a supercell type structure moving off to the northeast. That goes until 2:15. A severe thunderstorm warning for Wayne, Fayette, and Union counties in east central Indiana until 2:30. That is also tagged tornado possible for nickel-size hail. Quarter-size hail. They've actually upped to that one. And then a severe thunderstorm warning for Delaware and Henry counties in east central Indiana until 2:30. Tornado possible south and east of Muncie, including the city of Newcastle. We could be seeing some nickel-size hail winds to 60 miles per hour. For our friends across northern Indiana and into northwestern Ohio, real quick, just to update you, these storms are not severe, but there's a lot of lightning with them right now, crossing from Warsaw down into Wabash County through Peru down to Kokomo. This is moving off towards the east and northeast, so Fort Wayne, be prepared. John, it looks like it's raining at your house pretty good right now as well.
Yeah, it's coming down pretty good, yeah.
So we'll be watching it very closely. And then also, too, just to the south of our coverage area here, in between Cincinnati and Louisville, a new severe thunderstorm warning has kind of popped up as well. So we're going to be watching all this very closely. Wow, let's go into this one south of Brookville. The donut hole continues, and I'm telling you, folks, this is why we have a tornado warning in place, okay? You can clearly see this drop-off in reflectivity right here. That is about as clear-cut as you could see, about as clear-cut as it gets. When we talk about a donut hole, I mean, it literally looks like a glazed donut with a hole cut out in the middle, like you would get at Krispy Kreme. That's exactly what it looks like right now here to the south of Brookville, and that is going to be moving off towards the northeast very quickly. It'll be approaching the Ohio border here in about 10 minutes or so. So if you're moving into portions of Butler County around Oxford, the University of Miami of Ohio campus, I'd be watching the storm very closely, as it will be coming very, very close to the university if the current track and intensity continues. So just something to kind of keep in mind with us here over the next few minutes. Working back to the north around Richmond, another storm that has a donut hole on reflectivity, although not as intense. It is still in existence here just to the southwest of Richmond. That is about to move into the city of Richmond over the next several minutes. So just be prepared. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Seeing rotation increase near the Van Buren area just to the south of Warren.
All right, let's go check that one out because that's going to be back in Huntington County here.
Yeah, northeastern Grant.
Yeah, and so too, for those of you across northwest Ohio and northeast Indiana, the ingredients are a little less favorable, but they're still favorable nevertheless. And sometimes even these weaker returns on velocity that look like this, those can produce a tornado too. So just don't be totally caught off guard if you happen to see a tornado warning, but the velocity looks like this, okay? We may see a new warning required if trends continue. Your rotation is actually going to be coming in on the backside right here. Okay, so you're going to see the rotation
looks
coming
like
on the
we've
backside.
lost a tornado warning.
What's that?
Looks like we've lost. Oh, no, there's the one. Okay.
Yeah, we still got the
all
one
of
down
my
there.
area has lost the tornado warnings.
Yep. So IWX is gone with all tornado warnings for the time being. We still have our one down here in far southeastern Indiana.
Yep.
And that one's still, now the donut hole's kind of opened up a little bit on this one, but you can still see your inflow
Still a
notch
very
right
strong
there.
circulation. If you're in the Cedar Grove area, I'd really would be in my safe place right now.
Yeah, we're right. So we're right now. We're moving through what we call a range ring on the radar. Let me move back to the terminal Doppler out of Cincinnati for a moment here. There we go. That gives us a very good look at it. And so John mentioned Cedar Grove. These reds and greens right here, very close together. That tells us that we do have winds going, reds going one way and greens going the exact opposite. And so that's where you have your rotation. There is a TVS marker here too. So I have to wonder if we are seeing maybe something going on at the ground. There have been no storm spotter reports. In fact, the chat from the Weather Service has been relatively calm to this point. And that would be a piece of good news. But if we go back over to reflectivity now, the terminal Doppler from Cincinnati giving us a little bit of a different perspective than Wilmington because we're looking a little bit lower and closer to the ground. So this is almost a classic supercell type look on this particular storm when we look at the terminal Doppler. You can see there's your TVS marker right there. So that's going to be crossing Cedar Grove here shortly to the north of I-74, and eventually we'll approach the Ohio state line again within the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. Don't be surprised if we see additional warnings required for parts of Butler County, Ohio, and that's going to be moving into more of the Dayton metro area eventually too if that storm holds together. Let's put a track on all of these storms for you right now that have warnings on them. First off, we'll do a linear track from the cells back towards Muncie. We'll take that to the northeast at about 45 to 55 miles per hour. So Muncie, pretty much right about now, especially on the south side of town. Then moving into Newcastle at 210, moving into Winchester and then into Randolph County by around 230, and then Union City, the Ohio state line, at about 240. So then if that holds together, would move into more of, say, Mercer and Darke counties in particular. Richmond, you guys are about to get hit really hard as well. In fact, the southwestern side of the city already getting hit pretty hard. We'll take this off to the east-northeast at about 50 to 55. Richmond, again, right now, or within the next 5 minutes or so, the worst of it's going to be coming right into the heart of Richmond. And we're talking about West Manchester, 229, moving into Arcanum at 237, and then towards places like Pittsburgh at 240, Pittsburgh, Ohio, that is, and then into Lower at about 245. So that's kind of our current storm track and the way things are looking right now. That particular storm continues to show some signs of rotation, and that's why it is tagged tornado possible. Now, looking from the Wilmington radar, this appears to have tightened up just a little bit, right on the Union and Wayne County line. That's going to be just to the north of Liberty and west of Boston. This will track very close to the city of Richmond in Wayne County. I do know the Skywarn coordinator there in Wayne County, and I am sure if there is anything going on or any reports, he will let me know right away, and that'll be approaching the Ohio state line shortly as well. And then back down to the south here, our southern storm that has a tornado warning on it. Now, the structure on this southern one has really changed in the last 5 minutes. Okay, a little while ago, it was almost like a circle at the end. We had the donut hole in the middle. Now we are transitioning to more of a classic supercell type look with a very good hail core, John. That might be our best looking hail core of the day as well, coming across Cedar Grove right now.
Yeah, no kidding. I went and looked outside just to kind of see what that stuff was looking like to my south, and it really is just so dreary and rainy that any of this stuff is going to be very hard to see, Nick.
It will be. Absolutely. I 110% agree with you on that. Do not, when you go under a warning today, don't try to go outside and visualize it. We want you to move indoors and get away from windows, let these storms pass, and then once it has passed, you might be able to see something on the backside of the thunderstorm. That kind of appears to be the current trend.
That's going to be your best opportunity.
Yeah, that's going to kind of be the current trend that we are seeing at this point in time. So that's what we're watching at this point in time. For just now joining in, I'm Forecaster Nick Dunn along with John Tinney. We were tracking multiple tornado warnings earlier across northern and central Indiana. Those storms have kind of moved into more of a linear mode, and we're not seeing nearly as many warnings on those, but still some very strong gusty winds possible with those storms as they continue to progress off towards the I-69 corridor shortly. And then we have a few severe thunderstorm warnings, including the Muncie, Richmond, and Cedar Grove areas across eastern and southeastern Indiana. And very soon, we're starting to see some light rain already falling in southern Darke County and most of Preble County and northwestern portions of Butler County. So we're going to see some thunderstorms moving into these areas shortly, and I know Wilmington will have to consider new warnings. Whether it be severe or tornado remains to be seen. I would venture that the southern storm likely has a better chance of carrying a tornado warning than the central storm here in Richmond. But again, it really doesn't matter. We have the threat of tornadoes today, so when you go under a warning, just kind of consider yourself that you need to move into a sturdy structure, move indoors from somewhere. Don't be stuck outside. Don't go sit under an overpass. Don't sit under trees if you're in a mobile home. Try to find a more substantial shelter. And remember, if you are under a tornado warning, you need to make sure that you are going to a sturdy structure. Put a bicycle helmet, a baseball helmet, a football helmet, something on your head to protect yourself from flying debris. We can never stress that too much. Really, really important. And real quick, too, those of you in the Muncie area, just as a quick update for you, the storm itself has weakened. Okay, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning for, I can't really say, I don't think it's any of my counties necessarily, I would have gotten a text on that. Real quick though, from Muncie, you're not in the warning, but actually the heaviest rain is actually moving into Muncie right now. And there actually is a new severe thunderstorm warning for...
It's out ahead of that one that's coming into...
Yeah, Dark and Preble. Yep. So that'd be for the Richmond storm. So, but real quick too, Muncie, Ball State University, the storm, there's some very heavy rain coming through, but you're not under the warning. In fact, John, in my opinion, where they actually have the polygon, that part of the storm is pretty much collapsing right now. There's not a whole lot going on south of Muncie.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, but in Muncie proper and right around Ball State, you are seeing some torrential downpours, probably hearing some thunder, and seeing some lightning as well. So just move indoors. I would expect that they will drop that warning relatively soon. So we have a new severe thunderstorm now for Dark and Preble counties. This goes until 2:45. Tag tornado possible for winds up to 60 miles per hour and quarter-size hail. So that's going to include Arcanum and El Dorado. That's also going to include I-70 and US 127 and also US 40. And so right now this is coming into Richmond, and you can see the hail relatively decent still. We're seeing a pretty good return of hail here just to the south of Richmond. That's going to be crossing northeast towards New Paris in the next, I'd say, 5 minutes or so. In fact, it's coming onto the Ohio state line right now, and I will take a look real quick too at the ODOT camera that sits right at I-70 in the Indiana-Ohio border. It's not every day that we get to see, these cameras are not always in the best spots depending on where the storms are coming through, and right now just some moderate rain. We're not seeing any hail on the camera. I just kind of took a look at it here off screen, but we're watching this very closely. Now keep in mind, the further east that these storms move into Ohio, we're still getting some rain this afternoon out ahead of these. And so the atmosphere may or may not have enough time to destabilize enough. We'll wait and see how these storms continue to behave this afternoon. Real quick, a tornado warning continues, and we still have a TVS signature on this. And we continue to see a very classic supercell type structure coming in through Cedar Grove and Mount Carmel. And we're going to see, they're going to issue a new warning relatively soon on this. The cell's about to exit the polygon here shortly. But right around Cedar Grove, you can see this classic type of hook structure here. There's still a TVS associated with this as well, and that's a tornado vortex signature. And we look at velocity, and it is a little noisy today for some reason. The correlation coefficient's actually still picking up on that hail core very clearly, right there around Mount Carmel. And new tornado warning now for Butler County, and also into Preble County and eastern portions of Franklin County. And this is going to go until 2:45 this afternoon for radar indicated rotation and quarter-size hail. John, I'm not one bit surprised to see that tornado warning continued.
No, not at all. And again, for calling out your area, we want you in a safe place, lowest floor, away from windows. Take this thing seriously. If you're in the Oxford area, this thing's coming right at you. Somerville, close to 7 Mile. Go ahead, take your tornado precautions. Rule is, if you're in the polygon, do something. If you're not in the polygon, you don't need to do anything. So, again, if your phone went off because you're in that polygon, go ahead, take your tornado precautions. If you didn't get the alert, then you don't need to do anything.
Yeah, and it's really important that on our cell phones today, all cell phones come with the wireless emergency alert system on them. Make sure that those are enabled so that you can get these tornado warnings today as they are issued for your particular locations. So real quick, I want to see how close. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Oh, no, it's getting a little bumpy here.
Yeah, so this does include the University of Miami, Ohio campus. Obviously not a very good time of day for this to be going on right now in that area. And that sits right here in Oxford. I do think that the rotation should pass just south. However, as John just said, you're in the polygon. So I would imagine that they're going through their precautions right now, and same can be said for any schools. We likely have multiple elementary, middle, and high schools going on here. It's only 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so some schools do let out at about this time. So these schools, they have different plans in place. They have different precautions. So, and I understand it is during the middle of the week. Well, really, it's during the middle of the school year, I should say. It's the beginning
Hey,
portions
Nick, I'm
of the
looking
new
at
work
a
week.
traffic cam on the back side of the line of storms that have come through Marion County. I mean Grant County.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy, I tell you what, there's quite the lowering on the back side of that thing, man.
That's what just crossed I-69, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So we need to watch. Well, I need to watch that. Man, that looks pretty gnarly on that traffic cam there.
Interesting. Okay, so the Storm Prediction Center has just now issued a separate mesoscale discussion for the storm that has a tornado warning on it. They started doing these type of specialized discussions not too many years ago, and they're basically saying that right now there is strong mid-level rotation. The downstream environment has warmed into the mid-60s, and currently it is 70 degrees right now across parts of southeastern Butler County at the Hamilton Airport, according to the Storm Prediction Center, in large low-level photographs, despite some veering of winds. And they will be watching for this storm here to carry the best tornado potential for about the next hour at least. And so this is also a heads up to the Dayton metro area, Springfield, also including Miamisburg, in through portions of Hamilton and Camden, obviously. But again, this one storm right here is by itself. And John, I don't see anything stopping it at this particular point in time. It's not. It is attached somewhat to the storm to the north of that. But this storm is very impressive. And honestly, I think this is actually the longest lived one that we have seen today.
Yeah, you can always have one that will defy the odds. And that storm appears to be our best performer thus far. So, again, if you're in the path of it, the likelihood of you seeing a tornado is increasing from Mount Carmel up to Oxford, up to Somerville. You need to take it seriously and be in your tornado safe place at this time. And again, seeing the reflectivity values maxed out, wouldn't be surprised to see some hail there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, a quick update back in the Northeast Indiana. There is a special weather statement for Columbia City. I won't take too much time away from the tornado warning, I promise you, but I just want to update you. A little bit of a Boeing segment here in Whitley County. That could produce some enhanced, localized, stronger wind gusts and maybe close to severe wind gusts. That'll be pushing into Columbia City and crossing US 30 in the next 15 minutes, then eventually moving up towards places like Cherubusco, Albion, and maybe even as far north as Kendallville. And then down to the south here, as John said, around Warren, very, very heavy rain. I was looking at velocity and also some gusty winds. I'm surprised there's not a special weather statement out on this one. That's going to be crossing Bluffton in the next 10 minutes, and then Decatur and Bern crossing US 27 in about the next 30 minutes or so. Just be prepared for that. And then ultimately that one crosses into Ohio as well. So the theme here, starting to move closer to the Ohio border and into Ohio for more of our storms this afternoon. Getting you back into our tornado warning. Again, now Miami University sits right here. Okay, so the rotating part of that is just a few miles to the southwest. Again, I do think it will stay away from the university. It may just pass by a couple miles. But again, rest assured, I'm sure they're all in their safe places. They're getting there if they're not already there. Somerville, you've got about 10 minutes for your area. Same for 7 Mile. I would be in your safe place as well. The city of Hamilton, which is the county seat of Butler County, not currently in the warning. But if you have a Hamilton address and you live closer to 7 Mile, I'd be in a safe place just to be on the safe side. Sometimes these storms can deviate. They can sometimes maybe take a little bit of a right turn, or sometimes they can even change and take a left turn. So that's why you see the polygons as kind of as wide as they are sometimes, just to account for any potential changes in storm motion. So also as far north as Gratis, up here and very close to Camden. Again, I think most of that should stay to your south, but I don't want you to take it lightly. I want you to be in your safe place until this warning has been allowed to expire. There's your hail core as well. See if I can get some updated hail returns on radar with this. Wow, 1.25 inch hail marker popping up there. Yeah, John, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just looking at it. I got a lot of standing water, dude.
Yeah, that's another issue today is the amount of very heavy rain that we're seeing.
Flooding.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, coming back into Richmond, just for a moment here, we are seeing another donut hole popping up again on the east side of Richmond. And this one is a little bit more pronounced. And so again, we think back to the glazed donuts of Krispy Kreme. you've got your donut structure here, and you've got a little bit of a hole cut out right there, okay? So that can be an indication of rotation, could be an indication of a tornado, but there's no reports of anything. But again, these structures historically have done that type of things. That's why we want you to just be safe, okay? We don't want you to take this lightly. New Parish, you're getting some hail right now. This is crossing that I-70 camera, so I'm going to pop that back up again and see if we can see anything interesting. No, actually, remarkably, it actually looks relatively decent. That's interesting. Of course, though, maybe that donut hole is kind of passing over, and there's a little bit lighter rain falling at this point in time. But again, if you have any reports of severe weather, you can let us know. We'll try to forward that into the Weather Service for you, and you can also send in your reports to the Weather Service yourself. So that's kind of where we will be watching that very closely here for the next little bit. Again, a tornado warning continues for southeastern Preble, eastern portions of Franklin County, Indiana. And wow, look at the latest scan here near Richmond. That really intensified over New Paris. This is why we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Now, keep in mind, we could see this storm follow the same suit as the one to the south that has the tornado warning. What I mean by that is, previously, we had a donut hole in that southern storm, and then it became very supercellular very quickly. This one may be getting ready to follow suit. We'll have to kind of see what the trend is over the next several minutes. Let's take you back down to the south again. Tornado warning continues. It is crossing Oxford now, especially on the south side of town. The downtown immediate area, not getting hit by any of the hail, but I do want to kind of point out Miami University is actually right about here. Okay, so the hail even may just pass it by just a few miles to the south. But again, a few miles either way doesn't make a difference. You're in the polygon. You need to do something and making sure that you are keeping yourself safe. So this is crossing State Road 732 down towards McGonigle. If I pronounce that, I'm sure I pronounced that incorrectly. Tornado warning continues for Butler and Preble counties. Radar indicated with 1-inch diameter hail potentially. Mount Carmel, you're clear. You can come out of your tornado safe places. You just saw the polygon trimmed back there. So this does still include 7 Mile, Jacksonburg, West Elkton, Gratis, Oxford, and just to the south and east of West College Corner as well. And not to be remiss, or not to be forgotten about here, the cell near West College Corner is also kind of by itself. It's also north of the rotation, so may not be able to produce much of anything, but you're certainly seeing some very heavy rain there to the west of Camden on the Ohio-Indiana state line. Let's take you back up to the Richmond cell real quick. This one continues to look very impressive now coming in towards El Dorado, and this one is tagged tornado possible, so just be prepared to go to that safe place until this storm passes by. And now we're going to kind of bring the Dayton area into view. So again, we're watching the cell here to the southwest of Dayton with the tornado warning. If that track continues, that will be coming into the Dayton proper area very soon, along with Miamisburg and southern Montgomery County. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. And then southern Darke County here around Arcana might be in your safe place shortly too. You're getting some light rain now, but the heavier rain will be coming to your neck of the woods here very shortly. And John, we don't have any warnings currently in your area. I do see the report from Fulton County, nickel to quarter size hail from a while ago. We were watching that storm very closely earlier. Did you happen to get any good wind readings or hail at your location when that passed through?
No, it adjusted to like 20.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that might be why we don't have a special weather state. Maybe the winds are a lot stronger to the north. And then for Whitley, Noble, and Allen counties, they've got that one warned for pea-sized hail and gusts up to 50 miles per hour. Sorry, not warned, but there's a special weather statement on that. So that just came out of Kosciuszko and Wabash County. That's going to cross northeast and eventually cross I-69. And then places like Defiance, Bryan, maybe even up to Wassian. And if it really holds together, Toledo ultimately may have to kind of watch that. To the south of Fort Wayne here, this line segment will be crossing Bluffton, and then eventually Decatur, and then into Van Wert eventually as well. So it's something just to kind of keep in mind over the next several minutes. It's not warned, and we have not forgotten about you, but understand we're going to focus in on where we have warnings currently at this point in time. So we'll take you back to the south here again. Not seeing any reports from the National Weather Service office from any storm spotters. And John, I want to get your opinion too. The cell in between this tornado and severe thunderstorm warning in Preble County, it's starting to ramp up again. This originally may have been that cell from Rushville, has kind of turned a little bit more to the right, and it's now very close to that tornado warning. Do you foresee that maybe getting warned as well? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I'm looking. So you're talking about the one, is it severe warn now?
It is not. It's the one that's just to the north of the tornado warning. It's just outside that polygon.
Okay.
just to the north.
Yeah, I mean, talking about like near West College there.
Yep,
It definitely it looks interesting.
it does.
I'm not sure there's enough there to warn it.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about that too. And now that cell to the south hopefully does not have to compete with that one to the north for inflow, and even vice versa, right? That one to the north may have to compete with some inflow from the south. So we'll see which storm takes over. We'll get you back into that tornado. That latest scan continues to intensify that, and also now into the Cincinnati metro, watching a developing thunderstorm around White Oak and Shavat. That's going to be right there along I-74. That's going to be moving northeast through northern Hamilton County. We could see that intensify here in the next little bit as well. Let's get you back into the tornado warning here again. So Miami University, will give it another scan or two, okay? But it pretty much sits right in here, okay? And so we'll get another scan or two, and then we'll give you an all clear. You can come out of your tornado safe precautions. Same thing with the city of Oxford. We'll watch that very closely for you. Now, I will say, storm might be cycling a little bit, right? We had a very nice rounded hook echo here a little bit ago. Now it appears to have come just a little bit distorted. Now, these storms can cycle, and so we'll likely see this tornado warning continue onward, but I don't want you to just, the storm's starting to cycle, and I don't want you to let your guard down, is all I'm saying. Okay, and that includes those of you along US 127. Nobody should be driving out there right now if you live in that area. Middletown, this is very close to you. I'll step to the other side here so you can kind of see Middletown not too far away from this, and we'll kind of see if that trend continues, if it starts to head more towards your area in the next little bit as well. Let's get you an updated track on this, and I'm sure we have a lot of comments asking about locations that are not currently being impacted. Kind of take it as if we're not talking about you. Everything is okay for the time being. So let's put an updated track on the storm for you, taking it off here to the northeast. Move it a little bit faster than what it really likely is doing, but moving into Germantown at 240, Miamisburg at 242, moving into Riverside at just before 3 o'clock, moving into Beaver Creek just before 3 o'clock as well, into Enon at about 10 after 3, and into Donaldsville at about the same time. So we'll watch that very closely. And then tracking yeah, go ahead, John.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Just talking to my wife.
Oh, no, you're good. Tracking the other storm here to the north of Dayton. For that one has a severe thunderstorm warning on at this point in time. So we're talking about Potsdam at about 240, moving into Ludlow Falls at 245, and Troy at 250. And a severe thunderstorm warning continues for portions of Dark and Preble counties, and the tornado warning continues for portions of Preble and Butler counties as well. That tornado warning is radar indicated. And that severe thunderstorm warning is also radar indicated. So no confirmed reports of anything to this point. But again, I caution you, that can change in a very, very, very short amount of time. So just kind of be prepared for that as we continue to move on through here this afternoon. Give me just one second here. We look at what we may have just had issued here. See if we had anything pop up here. No, I don't think so. I think we may have just had a droppage maybe of the tornado watch. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, that's exactly what that was.
Yeah, we're starting to see the severe weather threat come to an end across areas pretty much along and west of Interstate 69.
Yeah, I was going to point that same thing out. If you live across northern Indiana, they're starting to drop some of those tornado watches for some of those counties there just a little bit. And so we'll see if that trend continues. I would expect it to. But again, tornado watch goes until 6 o'clock this evening for parts of central Ohio, southwest Ohio as well, and into portions of east central Indiana. In fact, I'll bring the watches back up for you. The tornado watch goes until 4 o'clock this afternoon for places like Muncie and Indianapolis. Now, that will likely be dropped ahead of time, but just something I wanted to kind of point out there. Let's get you back into our areas of concern here. Number one, our tornado warning that continues here until it's going to be 2:45, so another 15 minutes on this. This just crossed out of the Oxford area, so you can come out of your tornado safe place. Miami University, same thing for you. Just to the north of 7 Mile, west of Middletown, and south of Gratis. We're watching the supercell type thunderstorm. Still has a little bit of supercellular type look, but the rotation, if we can go look at that, is not nearly as intense as it was. And also, I think this is a little noisy, but there is still some rotation here. It has certainly lightened up a little bit from what it was 15, 20 minutes ago. But nevertheless, this is why the tornado warning is in effect. We do have rotation still showing up across parts of northern Butler County. And then working back off to the north here, the cell that crossed out of Richmond, this has become a little bit more of a wind and hail threat as opposed to any kind of tornado threat that may have existed. But certainly some broad rotation still existing here in between New Paris and El Dorado just to the north of I-70. We'll take you back over to the reflectivity side of things. And that hail core is right on the dark Preble County line as it stands right now. That's right over El Dorado heading up towards Castine and then eventually Ithaca and Gordon. This should stay north of Lewisburg as well, and then really the storm as a whole now will stay north of I-70, but that will be crossing into southern portions of Darke County here shortly. We'll let you know if we get any reports. The tornado warned storm is moving northeast at 55. The severe warned storm is moving northeast at 55 as well. So both storms moving at a very similar pace. Also watching a couple of newer storms developing near and south of the Cincinnati metro. And again, as these storms really start to fire up here this afternoon, we still run the risk of a few severe storms, both may produce tornadoes, damaging winds, and even a little bit of hail at times as well. John, actually, I think to me the hail threats actually kind of caught me off guard a little bit today because we didn't have that listed as a hazard from the Storm Prediction Center.
No,
but nevertheless, we have very
we
cold
really
air
didn't.
aloft.
No. See, but it's tapping into some of that cooler air aloft, so.
Absolutely. That freezing layer is pretty decent up there today in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and so as storms are kind of tapping into that this afternoon, we're starting to see some of that hail translated down to the surface, and still seeing an incredible amount of lightning around Bluffton, up to Columbia City, Kendallville. So that's interesting as well. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued as well for portions of Butler, Hamilton, and Warren County. That's probably going to replace that tornado warning, I would imagine. And that's not surprising because I think the rotations become, no, I'm sorry, that's actually a separate storm. That's for the Cincinnati metro. So that's going to be for the Cincinnati metro up to Lebanon. And this storm is also tagged tornado possible. It goes until 3 o'clock this afternoon, moving northeast at 55. That's going to move right up the I-71 corridor, essentially. So you can see where that polygon is drawn here in orange. That's going to be the general movement of that particular thunderstorm as that continues to progress northeastward here this afternoon. And again, here into Butler County, if you're on the northern side of the county, you have a tornado warning. And the southeastern side of the county, you have a severe thunderstorm warning. So 2 different storms, 2 different warnings. The northern half of the county is still staying in a safe place with the exception of Oxford. The southern half of the county, be prepared for some small to medium-sized hail and damaging winds up to about 60 miles per hour. Now, the storm here into Darke County, it is trying to become supercellular again, but it is just a little disorganized right here around El Dorado. You can see a little bit of that hook shape trying to develop. Your inflow notch would be right about in here if there were to be one in existence. And then you're going to watch that precipitation right back around, and that's where your rotation really starts to kind of take effect. So we'll watch that there around southern Darke County and northern portions of Preble County over the next little bit. And then southern Preble County, south and east of Camden, we still have that tornado warning. That will be crossing into Montgomery County shortly. So this is a very early heads up to those of you around Dayton and even as far northeast as Springfield, obviously 2 of our more populated areas across the Miami Valley this afternoon. These storms can be moving right into your area within the next little bit. So be prepared for warnings. Obviously, schools are going to start letting out. Rush hour is not overly far away, so traffic's going to be increasing. So just make sure you have multiple ways to receive warnings. Again, your cell phones, they have the WIAs, or the wireless emergency alerts. Your weather radios, make sure those are on so that you can receive those warnings as we continue to progress through the afternoon. So, John, just as a quick update from you, has you gotten any other pictures or reports from storms earlier today in your area?
No, I really haven't. In terms of across our coverage area, things are quiet. So we're just gonna hope that trend continues. And our severe weather threat here across the Wabash region will be ending sooner rather than later.
I would agree with that. And our friends across northwestern Ohio, we've not forgotten about you. Your threat is still in existence, but we're just not seeing much in the way of anything happening in your area at this point in time.
Good news is on the latest scan, that circulation there near to the south of Somerville coming up into Jacksonburg has really weakened a little bit.
Yeah, okay, John, this just coming in golf ball size hail reported in Mount Carmel about 10, 15 minutes ago on that tornado warned storm. That's impressive.
Ooh-wee. Yeah, I believe that.
I believe that too. That
Wow.
reflectivity was maxed out. So if you know anybody south and west of the Miami University of Ohio, you might want to check on them because they got some golf ball size hail according to a storm report that just came into the Weather Service in Wilmington. So that's concerning, and that means now we may see this tornado warning. This is likely to continue into Montgomery County based on the looks of it and the fact that we do have hail ongoing here across parts of northern portions of Butler County and into southeastern portions of Preble County.
Tell you what,
That's
Nick, my
concerning.
winds are stronger on the back of this line than it is the front.
What is it?
I said my winds are way stronger on the back of this line than they are the front.
I'm not surprised by that actually in the slightest. There's some pretty good pressure gradient winds with the center of low pressure passing through. Obviously, all these storms that are forming today, by the way, are ahead of an approaching cold front, an area of low pressure. Not going to knock our temperatures down too much tomorrow, but just something to kind of keep in mind with you as we continue to work
Radar
on through.
estimating at 1 inch in diameter hail, pretty much right over the north part of Jacksonburg there, between West Elton and Jacksonburg. 70% chance of 1 inch hail.
Okay, yeah, I see that there. Yep. Um,
And circulation re-strengthened too. So you're right. We're probably about to see another tornado warning. Come in and include the Miamisburg area probably.
yeah, and there's in fact, the TV station that I freelanced at over the summer is there, so they will have to watch that very closely. Sits right off of 75 there. So hopefully everybody's okay there, and we'll be watching that area very closely because now we're going to start getting to more populated areas. We talked about the Dayton metro. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that evolves. Again, this is radar indicated rotation at this particular point, but I would venture to say that warning expires in 9 minutes. I would venture to say we're going to see a new warning within the next 4 to 5 minutes at the very least. And in fact, they could already be drawing it up. But we're still watching this tornado warning. It has definitely intensified again. We're seeing that supercell structure a little bit more well defined there, just to the west of Middletown. And that's going to cross. Let's look at rotation here, John. I don't know if you mentioned that. If you did, I completely apologize.
I did. It re-strengthened.
Oh yes, absolutely. Okay, there we go. So right there near Jacksonburg. There we go. And let's see. New severe thunderstorm warning for Dark, Green, Montgomery, and Warren. Okay, so they are not issuing a new tornado warning right now. They are going with a severe thunderstorm warning, tagged tornado possible, for the city of Dayton. This does include Beaver Creek, Centerville, and Middletown. I'm a little shocked by this, just based on the signature that we continue to see. Now, again, we mentioned this earlier. Not every supercell produces a tornado, so for the time being, they've not been getting any reports. So I understand the move for the time being, but based on the overall structure of this, don't be surprised if it does intensify again and we do see a new tornado warning potentially down the line. Looking at correlation coefficient, again, we're seeing a lot of hail picked up in there. That is really impressive. And I would not be in the least bit surprised if golf ball size hail is continuing, or at least something larger than quarters, maybe up to ping pong ball, $half type size hail may still be continuing. But now the city of Dayton, you're underneath a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:15. Kettering, Centerville, Miamisburg, Germantown, Middletown, up to Huber Heights, Beaver Creek. All of you guys are underneath that severe thunderstorm warning. It is tagged tornado possible. Now, we've been talking about that all day, but what exactly does that mean when we talk about tagged tornado possible? Yeah, go ahead, John.
And just looking at the correlation, it dropped off right over Jacksonburg.
Okay, I do see that there. Man, that is really noisy too. Wow.
It is. That's the reason I'm saying it's not definitive, but it's right over the circulation.
Yeah, man. Folks in Jacksonburg need to be in a safe place at this point in time. I'm going to be curious to watch this reflectivity scan. So we have a very clear inflow notch right here coming into Jacksonburg right now. So your winds are probably pretty much out of the due southeast, and then your precipitation's wrapping around right there. So let's watch this for the next scan or two.
Looking.
What's that?
So that's almost debris ball looking right over Jacksonburg.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing.
Man.
I think we'll find out in the next scan or two as it's coming in to Jacksonburg if it picks up on any debris. Then we'll see that very much noted on reflectivity. Very large hail falling on the north side of this, just to north of Jacksonburg, east of the West Elkton area, and to the north of Middletown. Nobody should be driving right now, by the way, in this general vicinity. If you're talking quarter-size hail or larger, that has the ability to crack windshields. So if you can, try to find a more substantial shelter. Obviously, if you're in the tornado warning, you need to find shelter away from a vehicle to begin with, but make sure you're getting to a more sturdy structure. Put yourself in a much better position if you can. Otherwise, as a very, very, very last resort, find a ditch and cover your head with your hands until the storm passes. But obviously, it's a very rough time of day. We're getting to that mid-afternoon. Work's going to start releasing. Schools are going to start releasing. And obviously, everybody has kind of different protocols and things in place. But real quick, just to kind of touch base back while we have a second, tornado possible tag, what exactly does that mean? So that says that the Weather Service is monitoring rotation, but right now it's not strong enough to warrant a tornado warning per se at this point in time. So we're watching, and yes, very noisy radar signatures today. Not sure if maybe there's some interference or other things going on. And man, this latest scan is super noisy, even on the reflectivity side. The reflectivity values are now maxed out again, just to the southwest of Germantown. That's now moving into southwestern Montgomery County. You see these very deep purples and even the blacks showing up right in here. This is a very decent hail core. And John, when we saw this earlier, we just talked about it a little bit ago, we had golf ball sized hail. I'd venture to say that could be falling right now.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, I'm looking at my radar, and the reflectivity values are maxed out just to the east of West Elkton there. So, I mean, my goodness, yeah.
Yep.
You got anybody has any reports out of there, you'll be sure to do so safely. But we'd love to know what you're seeing.
Absolutely. Severe thunderstorm for Darke County has been allowed to expire. So, John, that takes your all of your counties now completely warning free. But I will say that one there in Darke County around Arcanum still looks a little ominous. It's still got a decent hail core with it as it's coming into Pittsburgh. That just crossed the Arcanum area right in here. So I wouldn't be surprised if a new warning were to be reissued on that, just for the hail side. And the fact that we're starting to get some bigger hail reports, especially out of southwest Ohio and southeast Indiana this afternoon. Don't be caught off guard on that.
TVS now back on that storm.
What is it?
TVS
Oh,
of
yes.
6 back on the tornado warning storm now.
Yeah, and that tornado warning only goes for 4 more minutes. And now the latest scan, boy, it just continues to, I would call it cyclic at this point. It continues to cycle
I was going to
back
say,
and
it's
forth.
cycling, Nick,
Yeah.
almost without a doubt, and it's almost out of the polygon.
Yeah, so here's your rotation here too. And again, folks, we've had this type of signature for a while with no tornado reports, which is a good thing. But anytime we see this type of signature here, we are concerned about tornadic activity. So this just crossed Jacksonburg, and this is now crossing into southwestern Montgomery County very shortly. It is still crossing through northeastern Butler County to the north of Middletown. So here's I-75 back here, by the way, okay, just to kind of point that out. So we haven't quite gotten to the I-75 corridor yet, but we will be soon, before too much longer. So just kind of be prepared for that. Right now we're watching this thunderstorm producing large hail on the northern side, and boy, it continues to cycle. This is a very impressive, and this is what happens when storms are allowed to be by themselves and they're not competing with anybody else. They're not competing with any other storms. John, this is kind of more reminiscent of what we see during more spring and summer type severe weather events with these longer lasting type supercells. New tornado warning, by the way, for Butler, Montgomery, Warren. So they are going to issue a new tornado warning. Wow, look at that latest scan. This includes the Dayton Metro down into Kettering and Centerville. So I'm not totally surprised by this. And John, I don't think you are either. That latest scan,
No,
that is
it's
impressive.
kind of a matter of when, not if.
Yep, absolutely. So now let's give you an updated call to action real quick, and let's show you who's in and who's out. So the city of Dayton itself is not fully in the tornado warning. Okay, so Dayton sits right up here, but you're very close. You're close enough. I would be in your safe place at this point in time. Oakwood, Kettering, Centerville, Miamisburg, Carlisle, Germantown. Safe places now. That means get yourself into a basement, a small interior room, put yourself between as many walls and the outside as possible.
Nick, I think we might have something down.
You think so?
Look at that. Look at the big CC drop there back there.
Oh, wow.
That's more than noise.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, folks, I would not be surprised if we have a tornado down. Let me see if the tornado Doppler in Columbus, out of Dayton reaches this far. It does, and Boy, it is really, really noisy today. I'm not sure what's going on. This is crazy. Yeah, I would
Zach
not be
says
surprised if
confirmed,
there's something
confirmed,
down.
confirmed.
What's that?
Zach says confirmed.
Okay, so we have now a tornado confirmed on the ground now in northeastern Butler County, moving into Montgomery County, including the city of Dayton, Kettering, Centerville, Miamisburg.
Says observed per the National Weather Service, Nick.
Okay, so that's going to be back to
Well-
correlation coefficient. Great catch on that, John. Let's take you back now to correlation coefficient. So a tornado is now down, and this could be a sizable one, folks, okay? So we talk about correlation coefficient, and this is the dark blues that you're seeing on your screen right here, okay? This is where we have, and there's your new purple box, by the way. I'll zoom that out so you can see it in a second. But now a tornado is confirmed on the ground in between Jacksonburg and Middletown and Carlisle. So we're going to be talking just to the west of I-75, and there is the updated scan. John, that looks sizable. That looks rather large.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you need to be underground. If you can, get underground. At the very least, center room, lowest floor. And again, I stress, if you are in a mobile home, please get out and get to a more substantial shelter. Do not stay in a mobile home if you're in the path of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go over to velocity real quick, too. Just want to kind of point this out. Now, the velocity has weakened, but, folks, that doesn't mean anything. Okay, we have correlation coefficient that is detecting debris, this area in blue. Okay, now we've had some noisy returns today, but this is a little bit more of the noise. Things have lined up, and the Weather Service is saying that they can have confirmed a tornado is on the ground north of Middletown. So tracking this in the next few minutes. So it's going to be crossing out of Butler County. It may graze Warren County for just a few minutes northwest of Franklin, and then ultimately it's going to come into Germantown, Miamisburg. There's I-75 and 675. Nobody should be driving right now in that area. If you are, find a more substantial shelter very soon, because we continue to see signs that a tornado is on the ground. We go back over to reflectivity, and based on this latest scan, it may have actually taken a little bit of a left jog, which would put it more into not crossing Warren County at all, and more or less just staying in Montgomery County at this point in time. So Germantown, very large hail is falling right now, especially right in town and just to the north of town. Now, just to the south of here, this is where we have our confirmed tornado that is on the ground according to the National Weather Service office. Now, your debris looks like this. We should get an updated scan.
I'm wondering if it was a brief touchdown, because it looks like the CC is kind of fanning out now.
I wondered that too. I just looked at that too. So, folks, again, these tornadoes, they can be brief, but for right now, the Weather Service is going to leave it as confirmed. So until they change it, otherwise, or until they tell us they have some updated information, we're going to go with confirmed for right now. But still a little on reflectivity, still a little bit of a drop off in the reflectivity right here, just to the south of Germantown. That's not far from Miamisburg and Miami Township. So we need to be in our safe places right now. Obviously, this is not a very rough time of day. We're also talking about the Dayton metro area, down to Kettering and Centerville, and into around the Franklin area as well. We need to be in our safe places, and we'll kind of see how things progress here over the next several minutes. So that's where things are standing at this moment in time. If you're just now tuning in, I'm forecaster Nick Dunn along with John Tenney. We are tracking a very dangerous setup here this afternoon. We now have one confirmed tornado on the ground in the Miami Valley to the southwest of Dayton, and we do have debris that was being picked up. And again, these storms can cycle just a little bit. So don't be surprised if this tornado lifts a little bit and then it drops back down again potentially in this area. And John, this is not a good time of day. We are approaching rush hour not too long from now, and obviously we're getting into more populated areas. So folks have got to be getting to their safe places soon.
Yeah, this is why we tell you to pay attention like we do. So again, if you're in the path of this thing, I really want you to just be hunkered down in your safe place until this thing passes. I mean, at the very least, we're going to waste 10, 15 minutes of your time, even if there's nothing there. So just please, if you're in the Miamisburg area, up towards, looks like it's probably going to go north of Centerville, but since you're in the polygon, go ahead and take those tornado safety precautions. Just as, of course, Alicia read here, very, very strong storm headed your way. With at least we know of a brief touchdown from this storm, we have to assume that it's probably still down. If not, it could touch back down at any second.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just resharing this video, folks. If you know of anybody that lives in this area, I would recommend you share this video again right now, just to kind of get this information out to them the best that you can. But right now, coming into Miamisburg, we need to be in our safe places at this point in time. Anybody in between Germantown, Miamisburg, same procedure for you. Now, when we look at things on the reflectivity side, the
You
cell
may see a
appears.
tornado warning for the storm to the south, Nick. That thing's getting its act together.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So now back here into Warren County around Lebanon, near Mason. This is near Kings Island, okay? So this is not too far from there. I know it's not open this time of the year, but just want to kind of give you a landmark. This is coming in through Mason, okay? And that's going to be very close to that I-71 corridor. Local report, wind damage, possible tornado in Montgomery County, Germantown. Amateur radio reporting at 2:48 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, possible tornado from multiple spotters. So I think now we can probably say we have a spotter confirmed tornado too, at least for a brief time, as John alluded to. And I'm not surprised. Now John, we just got to wait and see what kind of damage reports we're going to get from that.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if there's any reports coming in. That far northern storm too, that's east of Arcanum, was starting to wrap up again too, Nick.
Yeah, and that's coming into Miami County, which is in portions of your area as well. So, folks, we are definitely by no means out of the woods at this point in time. Kind of give you a little bit of a quick reset for you. We do have a tornado warning at this point in time. Okay, Zach just said that there was a video of a tornado on the Dayton Weather Spots page. Thanks for that. I'll see if I can get that pulled up here after a bit. So right now, the I-75 corridor from essentially Pickwood down to Cincinnati, you're kind of under the gun with the exception of the storm that has crossed east of 75 around Lebanon. A broken line of supercell type thunderstorms are developing here this afternoon, and we have a tornado warning for the Dayton metro area with at least one confirmed report so far of a brief touchdown. We've also received a couple reports of hail.
It was a rope.
Okay. Yeah.
Not a very large tornado, but a small rope.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not able to pull that up at this point in time right now, but that's good to know. And John, maybe if you could, if you want to drop a link, maybe in the comments section of the live video, perhaps we could.
Yeah.
We could get some folks maybe to kind of take a look at that if they're interested in that kind of thing at this point in time. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. But again, if you're just now tuning in, I'm forecaster Nick Dunn along with John Tinney. We are tracking a confirmed tornado as of last report. Let's see what the Weather Service has just now told us here. The storm in southwestern Montgomery County still appears capable of producing a tornado, but at this time they do not have enough evidence to go confirmed. So we will go back to radar indicated tornado warning based on that. And give me just 1 second. I'm going to look at a couple other pieces of information to see what we can potentially share with you. Looking
There,
at,
I was able to, I typed that link is in the comment section. It'll show up from Wabash Region Weather, Nick, but it is
Perfect.
the link to that video.
that sounds good to me. Real quick, John, I'm going to put a separate post on Ohio News and Weather if you just want to talk for just a minute here to kind of give folks, like maybe you could talk about that storm to the south of here, or down to the south in Lebanon that looks very supercellular and could go tornado warn too.
Yeah, we continue to watch this storm down. That's near just south of Lebanon. You're in Lebanon, you're getting heavy rain, maybe some small hail. Just to the south of that, just along and north of Interstate 71, there's probably some large hail falling, but we're starting to see the storm take on more of its supercell type form. The good news is compared to the previous scan, the circulation has broadened up a bit. So, and that's been very typical of what we've seen with these storms throughout the day. Yeah, even looking at the storm relative velocity here, not very impressive. So perhaps holding off on a tornado warning was a good idea here, and just kind of sticking with the severe thunderstorm warning for now. But we continue, though, to be very concerned about our storm to the north here that is coming up just to the south of Germantown, west of Carlisle. And that circulation continues to look concerning. And so we want you, if you're in the path, go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm quoting the wrong town there. If you're in the Miamisburg area up to West Carlton City, up near Kettering, we want you in a safe place, lowest floor, away from windows. I was looking at a different circulation, but not the right one. And so, again, if you're up in the Moraine area, heavy rain, wind, hail, we've got the updated warning. They trimmed it back. So now that includes the Miamisburg area, pretty much all the way up to the 675 corridor there, just to the south and west of Beaver Creek. So,
Yep. Thanks, John. We have a new warning too, by the way.
continue to be in your tornado safe place for the next few minutes.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you for that, John. And we have a new severe thunderstorm warning as well. We will see that populate on the screen here momentarily. This did include portions of Clinton and Greene and Warren County. So this is a reissuance of the severe thunderstorm warning that has a tornado possible tag for around the Lebanon area, and that continues to move right up the I-71 corridor. So this includes Wilmington and areas south of Xenia down to about Lebanon and the Kings Island area. We're watching a storm capable of producing quarter-size hail and winds to 60 miles per hour. John, I do see that they did take the confirmed tornado off, and they did. It's just now from Montgomery County, which is good. And I don't know about you, but I think downtown Dayton we can give an all clear for. I think this will stay south of the immediate downtown area of Dayton.
Yeah, maybe if you're on the east side of Dayton, south of Riverside, I'd kind of stay put for the next few minutes. But downtown Dayton, yeah, I think you're good.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that as well. So, folks, if you're just now tuning into us this afternoon, continue to share
I'll
this.
tell you what, it's really broadened up. I wouldn't be surprised. I think this thing might have fizzled.
Okay. I'm also looking right now at a ODOT camera very close to the confirmed tornado from a little bit ago, and there's definitely some very low-hanging clouds in that area. Not too far away from that. So again, this cell is still capable of producing a tornado here just to the south of Dayton. Beaver Creek, you are still kind of in the warning, especially the western sides of Beaver Creek if you're close to 675 and 35. Also close to the Fairfield Commons Mall. I would be recommending that you get out of the mall, or if you're in the mall right now, maybe find a more substantial shelter here shortly. I would not be surprised if this tornado warning were to continue. Again, I was looking at a Skycam video and also a ODOT camera there at the Austin Landing exit, and very interesting and ominous looking skies right now, and that's not surprising given the environment that we have out there today. So again, a tornado warning continues for Montgomery County. It goes until 3:15, so another 17 or so minutes left on this one, and eventually that will be crossing into Greene County right around Beaver Creek, so just kind of be prepared for that. And this newer severe thunderstorm warning down to the south here for Lebanon, this still has an existing severe thunderstorm warning as well. However, a new one has been issued until 3:30. That's going to include Wilmington, near Xenia, over to about Jamestown, Shawnee Hills, back down to Waynesville, Lebanon, Clarksville. So just be prepared for that. That's another type supercell looking thunderstorm. And John, I am impressed with the discrete nature that we continue to see, mainly with these two storms between Dayton and Cincinnati, but even the one there that just exited the Arcanum area is even becoming a little bit linear, and then there's another one north of that that is also trying to become a little bit supercellular as well.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Storm Prediction Center hit this one on the head, and these things, especially since they got east of Interstate 69, they really took on a life form of their own. So, and they've held themselves together quite well. So, definitely an odd day for sure.
Absolutely. Real quick too, the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is now taking shelter as well. That's not surprising. They are very close, and even parts of the base are likely in the tornado warning, so that's a little scary to think about as well. Looking at another ODOT camera this afternoon, looking at some very low clouds out there still continuing. So yeah, that's definitely not a very good look. So I want you guys to stay inside, right? Stay in your tornado safe places until these storms have been allowed to expire and kind of and move on through. So go ahead, John.
For Indiana folks, the severe weather threat is pretty much over.
Yeah, John, once this kind of clears Miami County, I can take your page off if you want.
Yes,
for the time being. Okay.
So and then I'm probably going to hop off and kind of let my voice rest a little bit.
Yeah, no, that sounds perfectly good to me. So we're watching these storms very closely. If you're just now tuning in again, the Dayton metro area, especially just to the south and east, and over towards Beaver Creek and around Kettering. Now the hail core starting to pick up again, right here around Kettering. You see these very dark purples. That's an indication of some very large hail potentially falling. So don't be surprised if that continues. And I see Zach. Okay, thanks, Zach. I appreciate that. So we're going to continue to watch all this very closely for you. So again, Oakwood, Kettering, you're still in the tornado warning polygon and would be in your safe place. West Carrollton City, Moraine, Centerville, this is going to stay north of you. Okay, Centerville sitting right about here. This is going to stay north of you. I'll give you an all clear at this particular point in time. They will likely shrink this polygon again shortly. This tornado warning is set to go until 3:15, but I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe issue another one. And at the very least, I think a new severe thunderstorm warning will be coming out shortly for the rest of Greene
I don't know
County.
about another tornado warning. That circulation was broad.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'll tell you, boy, that's a correlation coefficient's very noisy. Would not be able to see much of anything. Yeah, that rotation is definitely broadened up. Still in existence here, though. It's not very strong, as John alluded to, and I 110% agree. But again, we've seen this a couple different times today with this storm in particular, where it has kind of cycled down, pulsed back up, and it produced a brief tornado. Now it's cycling down again. The question is, will it pulse back up again? And for those of you in the Columbus area, I know we're getting just a little bit of sun as well. So these storms will be approaching the Columbus area eventually, and we may have to be a little bit concerned about that as we continue to move forward in time. So let's get you an updated track on all these storms that are currently warned right now and kind of let you know where they're going. Springfield, the good news is the tornado warned part of the storm will stay south of you. I know that's also another one of our more populated areas, but tracking this off in time at about 45 to 55 miles per hour. We're talking Beaver Creek at about 307, at least for the heart of this particular storm, and moving into Wilberforce at 317, Cedarville at 321, and South Charleston at about 333 this afternoon. That's the track for the tornado warned storm. And then down to the south, we are tracking another thunderstorm capable of producing large hail, and maybe even some very strong to damaging winds as well. Harveysburg at 304, Jamestown at 325, moving to Jeffersonville just after 3:30 this afternoon. That's the Jeffersonville Outlet Mall. So if you're in that area, just kind of be on guard. This storm will be moving up the I-71 corridor, moving into your area very, very soon. And John, really the movement of these storms today, very conducive for supercells to continue producing tornadoes. This kind of west-southwest to east-northeast type motion, very favorable for storms to continue to produce rotating rotations and even some large hail too.
Yeah. I mean, the storm motion is definitely favorable. So I mean, you folks in Ohio are definitely not out of the woods, but in terms of the Wabash region coverage area, once the storm kind of clears the Pickaway area, I think we can pretty much give an all clear. That secondary line does not look impressive at all.
No, I completely agree with that. Also, this just coming in, there's a news station currently in Dayton that is in shelter, so I'm not surprised by that. It's coming right through the heart of Dayton, down to just to the east of Miamisburg. So that's not surprising whatsoever. We hope that everybody's okay down there. We're still kind of waiting on some reports of damage to come in. We've gotten at least one confirmed report so far of a tornado around Germantown. Since then, though, we haven't had anything, and hopefully that trend continues. But for everybody down in that area, we hope everybody's okay, and we hope that the damage that is ongoing is minimal. And of course, we'll keep you posted as this continues to evolve here this afternoon. So real quick, getting you an updated look. The tornado warning continues for another 12 minutes, but I'm telling you folks, it's going to be out of the polygon before then. I would imagine we're going to see a new severe thunderstorm warning at the very, very least, just because the hail continues and the storm has been very impressive given the history. We'll be moving into Beaver Creek here shortly around Fairfield Commons Mall. We'll be watching it also down towards the Green. We're not too far away from that area either, and we're watching that very closely. Still some hail. Rotation remains rather broad, but again, we've seen weaker rotations today. Maintain severe thunderstorm type warnings as well. And then of note, for Northwest Ohio real quick, not to forget about you, but we have an immense amount of lightning coming into Paulding and Van Wert counties. I just zoomed out the view there. You can see up here into Paulding and Van Wert counties, very gusty line of showers and thunderstorms, not severe and not producing anything, any damage, at least to this particular point in time from what we've seen. In fact, there have been no damage reports. There was actually a report in Bluffton of looks like nickel-size hail. near, let's see, it's going to be actually in the city of Bluffton from a train spotter. So that just coming in as well. But outside that, this other line behind all these warned storms that we currently have is just not overly impressive as it stands right now, and hopefully that trend will continue. Hopefully we just have this as our severe weather threat for today, and then things will kind of start to wind down gradually here as we get through the rest of the afternoon. Now keep in mind, the further east that we go here, we've not had as much time, as I mentioned a little bit ago, for for the atmosphere to really destabilize. And so as these storms get closer to Columbus, it'll be interesting to see if they are going to maintain their intensity or if they're going to weaken as they get a little bit closer to us. Looking at another report here just coming in of penny-sized hail in the Oakwood area of Montgomery County. Looking at some other social media reports, looks like there's some video out there as well of maybe a tornado. It's kind of hard to say exactly where that's from. I don't have the ability to click on it right now, but so now coming into Beaver Creek, we are watching that tornado warned storm starting to move out of the polygon. There's still a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Beaver Creek, so we still encourage you to be indoors and away from windows until the storm passes. John, I'm not really seeing much rotation either on that southern storm. I think our tornado threat might be dwindling, at least temporarily.
Yeah, I would agree. And so, I mean, either they're going to cancel this early or let it expire. And Tyler just shared a good image from Dayton Skywarn of that tornado, Nick, into the chat.
Okay, yeah, we'll take a look at that. Oh, yeah, definitely. That's a nice rope-type tornado. And that's very similar, John, to what we saw today in Champaign, Illinois, too. Very similar.
I was going to say, yeah. And this has never been a day where we were going to see the really large, violent tornadoes.
No, definitely not. This was not going to be that type of day. I'm going to look through my O&W inbox real quick just to see if there have been any reports of anything. Let's see what we've got going on here. And the continued severe thunderstorm warning for, looks like Warren and Greene and Clinton County with tornado possible. That's not surprising. Let's see what we've got here. I'm just looking to see if there are any confirmed reports or video of this tornado on O&W, and I'm not seeing anybody has sent anything over at this point. So that's fine. So that's kind of what we're watching right now, and they have issued a new severe thunderstorm warning for Clark and Greene County until 3:45. That's not surprising given the fact that the storm has produced a tornado. It is tagged tornado possible. Let's see if I can get that warning up on the screen here for you momentarily. So this will include Yellow Springs and Cedarville ultimately, and that's not surprising there whatsoever. And John, just kind of watching Miami County too, just to the north of that tornado warning, still interesting. And I think if you're going to see any additional severe warnings in your area, it's going to be that particular spot right there.
Yeah, I would agree.
So really, right now, our severe threat has kind of been contained to near and south of I-70, and we will see if that trend continues ultimately. So the new severe thunderstorm warning does include Springfield, Enon, Yellow Springs, Clifton, near the Clifton Mills, one of the best places to see Christmas lights. South Vienna, also including Cedarville. Obviously, we're a long ways away from Christmas, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there. Might spark a couple of interesting debates in the comments section, but that's okay. It's one of my favorites, though. And even during the year when it's not Christmas, still a very cool site to go visit. So this is also including I-70 from I-675 to the Clark-Madison County line, where there is a rest area there. So these storms are moving in that general direction right now, continue to be capable of producing damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. And John, even though the tornado warning is going to be allowed to expire here, they actually just canceled it now several minutes early. I'm still impressed with the overall structure, and I really still can't completely rule out a tornado. We'll have to see if this starts to cycle up again.
Yeah, well, and we've seen that throughout the day where the structure has been really, really impressive with these storms. And so, sometimes that's the way it goes. You get good structure, but you don't necessarily get a lot of tornadic activity, and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, again, if we can go through today with very minimal damage and no loss of life, that would be a good day. Obviously, having tornadoes is not a good day, but as long as we hear that everybody's accounted for and safe, we can know, rest assured that we did our jobs, and we did everything that we possibly could to keep you protected and safe from these storms here this afternoon. So you continue to watch us here this afternoon. We are continuing to cover severe weather across the Miami Valley, In particular now, it always seems to be the Miami Valley always seems to get lots of severe weather. It's very early though, right? We don't normally think of late February as a severe weather type setup, but here we are. Multiple severe thunderstorm warnings continuing. The newest one for Clark and Greene County until 3:45, and a severe thunderstorm warning for Greene, Warren, and Clinton counties just to the north of the Weather Service office in Wilmington until 3:30 this afternoon. We're getting great looks at these storms. They continue a severe thunderstorm warning for quarter-size hail winds to 60 miles per hour for Greene County and Clinton County until, actually, I'm sorry, that's the other severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Greene and Montgomery until 3:15. Sorry about that. That's for that existing cell. And let's go back and look at rotation, because it appears now the cell is trying to take a supercell type look again. John, that rotation, has it spiked back up again in your opinion, just to the east of Beaver Creek?
Hang on, Nick. My mouse died.
Oh, no, you're good.
So I tell you what, Nick, if we could take out my page.
Yep, I can do. Let's do a quick. You do a quick housekeeping item there. I'll take your page out and then go from there.
I'm gonna kind of go rest my voice and get some things squared away a bit.
Yeah, nope, that's all good and fine. So your page is off now. Should be okay.
Awesome, thank you. You guys stay safe across Ohio, and we'll continue to watch things closely for you. Nick will take you from here.
Yep, awesome, John. Thanks for joining in, and
Yep.
we'll let you know what goes on from there. Have a good day, buddy.
You too, buddy. Thank
All right,
you.
thanks. Bye-bye. We have a new tornado warning now, too, by the way, for portions of Clark and Greene County. This was just issued by the National Weather Service in Wilmington. This is going to include Yellow Springs and Cedarville, very close to South Charleston. This does not include the city of Enon, but we do need to let you know that a new tornado warning has been issued. I was just mentioning that I thought the rotation had spiked up a little bit on this, and nevertheless, we do have a tornado warning until 3:45 for South Central Clark County, North Central Greene County. Does not include Springfield, does not include Xenia. So we're kind of right in between those two cities, right along US 68 this afternoon. And you can see again, the very large hail has started again. So we're starting to see these maximum values on the reflectivity side, indicative of that large hail. And your rotation is going to be back here on the southwestern side to the very east of just Beaver Creek there. We take you back over to the base velocity, and that is starting to really ramp up again. So here's Beaver Creek. We are just now east of the Fairfield Commons Mall. This is working off here towards the east. We continue to see some reds and greens very close and touching together here. So that's where that tornado would be. We're going to have to watch correlation coefficient once again to see if we can catch any signs of a tornado coming down. Right now we are not seeing that, but it is worth noting that we're going to have to watch that storm very closely. Also to the south, I don't want to forget about those of you in southern Greene County. This storm here showing some signs of supercellular type characteristics once again as well. We are continuing to move off here towards the northeast again. I know the sirens are probably going off in Enon and New Carlisle and South Vienna and South Charleston. The sirens are probably county based, and so anytime a warning touches any part of the county, you're going to hear that siren. And remember, those are for outdoor type of alerts. If anybody's outside, that's what that is meant to alert for. We need you to be indoors, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and get yourself below ground. That's going to be the most important key here this afternoon. Get yourself below ground, put a bicycle helmet on or something over you to protect yourself from flying debris. If you don't have a basement, get into a small interior room, a hallway, bathroom, or a closet. Again, just put yourself as far away from the outside as possible, centermost part of your house if you can. If you're in a mobile home, you need to find a more substantial shelter. I know some mobile home parks have a tornado shelter, but not all of them do. We continue to monitor this as we continue to progress northeastward. Just wanted to look to make sure I didn't miss anything. A new tornado warning now for Champaign, Clark, and Miami counties until 3:45 this afternoon. So that's now going to be on the northern side of this particular storm, and that's going to be for areas to the west of Springfield. So now we are talking New Carlisle. So you do have a tornado warning now. Just a few minutes ago you did not. But a new tornado warning now for northwestern Clark County, east central portions of Miami County, and southwestern portions of Champaign County. And this is for a radar indicated rotation. And I have to tell you folks, I'm seeing some very concerning signatures here as well. Right near New Carlisle, just to the northwest of there, we're seeing a bit of a donut hole on reflectivity. And what that tells me is that we do have some rotation ongoing. Okay, so we do need to be a little bit concerned about that. We could see a tornado in its developing stages right now in far eastern portions of Miami County. We definitely need to be in our safe places right now. as that continues to progress off towards the east-northeast. So Christiansburg, Northampton, you're in the warning. This does not include Mechanicsburg. This does not include Urbana. And it does, though, include a portion of US 68 in between Urbana and Northridge. So something we're going to have to kind of keep our eyes on here for the next little bit. Give me 1 second here. Okay, let's just kind of get myself reset here just a little bit for you. So if you're just now tuning in, I'm forecaster Nick Dunn. We are tracking 2 tornado warnings right now, and soon, and it could be a third one down here to the far south as well in southern Greene County, northern Warren County. Don't be surprised by that. But we are tracking a couple of distinct rotating thunderstorms right now. The most impressive of which is in between Springfield and Xenia, about to come into Yellow Springs near Cedarville. And this is a very, very interesting area right in here. That black and that even you're starting to see a little bit of white in here as well. We're likely seeing some destructive hail, potentially golf ball type size hail falling right now out of this particular storm near Yellow Springs. Okay, so that's going to be just to the south of Yellow Springs is where we're likely seeing some of that really large hail. And then your rotation is going to be on the southwest side of this particular storm. And so we take you over to the storm relative velocity product. There's your rotation. Very discreet, very stout, and rather intense. So don't be surprised if we get another report of a tornado down once again across parts of Greene County. So this does not include Fairborn, does not include Enon, does not include Springfield, does not include Jamestown, does not include Xenia. It does include Cedarville, and so that means we're also including Cedarville University, Wilberforce, Clifton, and Yellow Springs are in this tornado warning. And again, rotation very intense right there. The last time we saw this back across parts of Germantown, we had a tornado drop, so don't be surprised if that happens again. Up to the north, another very concerning area of rotation in between Christiansburg and New Carlisle. Right here on the eastern side of Miami County to the east of I-75. That's going to be crossing into northwestern portions of Clark County here shortly, and will also cross into southwestern portions of Champaign County. Again, the last time we saw a signature like this, we had a tornado down on the ground in southwestern portions of Montgomery County. Looking at correlation coefficient right now, does not show any signs of debris. That doesn't mean anything though. We continue with that tornado warning here for Champaign, Miami, and Clark until 3:45. A tornado warning for southern Clark and northern Greene until 3:45 this afternoon. And a severe thunderstorm warning for southeastern Greene and far, far northern Clinton County until 3:30 this afternoon. So if dangerous storms continue, we encourage you to stay indoors as all of these storms to continue to move off towards the east-northeast here, about 50 to 60 miles per hour. Down to the far south, I do want to kind of alert you to this as well. Portions of Claremont County start to see a new thunderstorm developing here with a good amount of lightning with it as well. So we'll watch this here very closely over the next few minutes with you, and hopefully everybody is staying indoors and in their tornado-safe shelters until these storms have been allowed to move through the area. So if you have any reports, please send them in to us when you can do so safely. Look at some updated reports here if we can. See if we have anything to pass along. Tornado warning continues. Radar indicated for portions of Clark and Greene counties. That's a southern storm. Still radar indicated, so we don't have a confirmation of a tornado on the ground, which is good, and hopefully it stays that way, but I still want you guys to be indoors and in a safe place. Let me look at some of your comments here this afternoon as well. Troy, the sirens are going off. I completely understand that. Tornado warnings were allowed to be expired from Miami County, as that cell has kind of exited Miami County now, so it's just Champaign and northwestern Clark there on the northern side, just to the north of I-70, and then we have the tornado warning for southern Clark and northern Greene. So looking at some of your comments here, and I apologize. I hope I hope everybody's trying to help each other. That's really great to see, and I apologize that I've not looked at them. It's just been me and John for most of the day so far. So, and I know we do have a couple other fans out there that are helping answer questions. I greatly appreciate that, and it makes a world of difference when we can have everybody working together and helping out each other. It's a very, very nice thing to have, and so I appreciate all that very much. So still have 2 active tornado warnings. Again, as I said, Miami County has been allowed to be dropped, so we're talking Christiansburg and near Northampton. And if I take you back over to velocity, you're still going to see right there, the reds and greens are still very, very tight and very close to each other. if there's a tornado down, it's going to be in the far northwestern corner of Clark County. I'd say about 4 to 6 miles north of New Carlisle and about 4 to 5 miles west of the Northampton area. Just kind of estimating that for you. And that will continue to move off towards northeast. This one has a little bit of a direction change today from where our other storms have kind of been moving. This is kind of moving almost due northeast, whereas our other storms have kind of been moving a more east-northeast. And we are still tracking a very strong rotation signature here into northern Greene County. This is going to be near Yellow Springs again, so hopefully you are in your tornado-safe place. Wilberforce and Cedarville have been taken out of the polygon. So if you were in those areas, you can come out of your tornado-safe place. Again, that's Wilberforce and Cedarville. You guys are cleared of your tornado warning, but you're still under a severe thunderstorm warning as very heavy rain and gusty winds are still possible. Let's take you back over to reflectivity, and now the large hail has kind of weakened again. So this storm continues to cycle back and forth. We've had the storm drop a tornado. It has weakened. It has intensified. It has now weakened again. But large hail falling now just to the south of Springfield potentially, and also exiting Yellow Springs here. This is going to be US 68 that takes you from Springfield down towards Cedarville and Xenia. And then you've got I-70 up here as well on the far northern top of your screen. They're right behind the banner. And there's Enid. You guys are in the clear now as well. I know that there was a severe thunderstorm. The tornado warning never included you, but the sirens may still be going off. And again, some counties have county-based sirens. They're not sectored and broken off by counties. And so anytime a warning touches any part of the county, the entire county sirens will go off. And that's just the way that that technology is designed. That is air raid World War I type technology. And so that's why technology has advanced to where we have things like cell phones that have the wireless emergency alerts on them. Really important that you have those activated and that they are going on your phone so that any time that you see that there's a tornado warning that is in effect for you, you're going to get that notification. It'll be very loud. Those of you that have gotten the Amber Alert notifications know what I'm talking about. Very helpful tool. And make sure that you have that at your disposal. So I'm going to see if I can get Zach Batten in here real quick as well to kind of help with some of our coverage here this afternoon. So give me just 1 second. So we'll kind of get that going here. So again, still active, 2 active tornado warnings. Okay, the southwestern portion of Champaign County, south of St. Paris, northwestern Clark County, and for the most part, Clark County going to be out of the clear here shortly, the northwestern corner of the county, that is, to the east of Christiansburg, and that will be a good thing for you. New Carlisle, you're in the clear. To the south, let's go back over to our velocity product. Man, we are still seeing, this has broadened out a little bit, which is good, but I don't want you to let your guard down yet in Clifton, okay? We have seen this a couple different times today, as I've kind of alluded to, okay? We have this rotation still here, but you see it's more linear in nature, okay? It's not compact in one area. It's fanned out just a little bit. And so what that tells me is that we may be transitioning to just a little bit more of a damaging wind threat, which is okay, right? We don't necessarily have to have this particular type of setup for a tornado. We can get a quick spin up out of this, and we'll kind of go from there. Give me 1 second. Zach is going to join. And we'll kind of get him in here in just a second. So tornado warning continues, and the velocity on this is just really noisy. Let's go over to correlation coefficient real quick. Yeah, we are staying clear. We're not seeing any signs of debris right now in between Yellow Springs and Clifton per se. But it is definitely concerning. We're going to have to watch and see if this picks back up again. I will say the overall storm structure has really changed. And we are talking, this is kind of almost moving due northeast now across Clark County. So the city of Springfield itself, going to be okay. It's east along I-70 over here towards South Vienna that we're still going to be in a little bit of an issue. And I don't know that they're going to reissue the tornado warning at this point in time. So give me just 1 second. Zach is going to join us here now as well, and we'll get some of his additional perspectives and thoughts here hopefully in just a second, providing that my computer is going to answer his call. Zach, can you hear me? No, I do not have him. So I will try calling him again just 1 second here. We'll get this going. Zach, can you hear me now? Nope, I don't know if he can hear me or not. Zach, are you there? Okay, I'll try to bring him in again. Not sure why I'm not able to hear him at this point in time, but we'll get him in here in just a second. So again, a tornado warning still in effect for portions of Clark and Greene counties here until 3:45 this afternoon. and that is for a storm that has had a history of producing at least one tornado in Montgomery County. Continue to kind of work on through. So I'll tell you what, I'll see if I can get him added in on a different method here. Give me just 1 second. Zach, if you're watching, I've started a Google Meet, and perhaps I can pick you up on there potentially a little bit better. So we'll try that again here in just a few moments. But again, we're still watching that one tornado warning to the south of Springfield. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning we'll get to in a second as well. Tornado warning continues for southwestern Champaign and northwestern Clark County, but I will say that this one has kind of weakened a little bit. Zach, can you hear me now?
I can. Can you hear me?
Awesome. I got you. Perfect. So, folks, we have Zach Batten in here now as well. And, Zach, I'm going to step away for just a couple of moments. I'm going to zoom the radar out. I know we have a new severe thunderstorm warning for the cell coming up out of Xenia and Jeffersonville, and perhaps you can kind of get folks up to speed for just a couple of minutes here, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, so we're still watching the cell 2 tornado warnings right now, Greene County and Clark County. The cell, kind of Nick has been alluding to, is broadening out a little bit. So hopefully good news. Still some rotation as it moves in between what will end up being between South Charleston and Springfield. Hopefully that stays on the kind of downward trend there. The cell south of St. Paris and kind of southwest of Urbana, that one also looks like it's broadening out. Not much going on there. And then the new thunderstorm warning for the cell in southeast Greene County, kind of south of Shawnee Hill. That one has a nice little hook to it. A little bit of rotation starting to show up. Nothing to be super concerned about at the moment, but like we've seen many times today, they kind of start off broad, they tighten up, they weaken, they tighten up, they weaken. So as you know, if you end up under a thunderstorm warning, you're better off understanding that it could still produce a tornado at any time. So you want to take it kind of just as seriously as you would take a tornado warning at this point. Let's see. The good news is it looks like for the most part, once you get behind really these kind of initial discrete cells, things are fairly weak. There is a thunderstorm warning in northwest Ohio for the line that's come out of Indiana that's just kind of been cruising along. That's going to be mainly a wind threat. We up here, I'm in just south of Toledo. We've seen no sun. We barely hit 40 degrees today. So these are definitely going to be just wind threats with the wind speed higher up in the atmosphere. It's really cruising. So it doesn't take too much to get those down to the surface. And with this line that kind of was able to get itself together through Indiana where they got a little bit of sun today, it's able to kind of hang together.
Yeah, and thanks for that, Zach. And I'm back now, by the way. Thanks for that. So real quick, guys, just to kind of get you up to speed, I know Zach was talking about all the warnings. Just wanted to touch base as well. Not seen any reports of injuries to this point in time, and that's a really good piece of information. Let's go take a look at that warning that Zach mentioned in northwest Ohio very, very briefly. This is going to be for the Lima area and also for Defiance. Looks like they've got 2 warnings now. So a little bit of a Boeing type structure. And as Zach said, this area's not seen a ton of sunshine today. And it may not take much. But a little bit of a Boeing structure kind of developing here from Defiance down towards Van Wert and approaching the Lima vicinity. Could be seeing some damaging winds potentially up to 60 miles per hour. And Zach, they actually have these both tagged. Well, the northern one's actually tagged tornado possible. What's impressive to me is the amount of lightning in that particular line of thunderstorms. It's almost more lightning in that than what we have where our tornado warnings currently are.
Yeah, they've been prolific lightning producers pretty much their entire trek across Indiana. It's been
we have
really
a new tornado
impressive.
warning too now for Madison and portions of Greene County and Fayette County and also Clark County. Oh, wow, they just replaced that entire southern storm now with a tornado warning.
They sure did.
For London, South Solon, Jamestown, Octa, Bloomingburg, Mount Sterling, in the tornado warning now as well. So this is a very, very, very early call out to those of you in the Columbus metro. You need to start preparing for the threat of severe weather this evening, including the threat of a tornado. I would just going to give you a very early heads up. We are approaching the 3:30, 4 o'clock time frame we're going to start approaching rush hour very soon. So if you have evening activities in Columbus or anywhere in Franklin County or the surrounding areas, now's the time to maybe look at postponing those to later in the evening or just maybe canceling them and moving it to another day. We're watching a very strong storm coming into Jamestown right now. That's going to cross, Zach, that one's really just moving right up the I-71 corridor, to kind of put it easily.
Yeah, it's been a pretty steady track for its entire duration here. At least it makes it relatively easy to give folks a heads up. Sometimes we see them wobble back and forth. This one's been pretty steady. Now that it's kind of really starting to develop that hook on the backside, definitely worth watching to see if that rotation really ramps up.
Yeah, and too, Zach, that one in Clark County, still to the south of Springfield, that one does not want to give up either. That's crossing I-70 near the US 40 exit, not too far from there, to the south of South Vienna, and also there's the Speedway truck stop gas station there with the other fuel store on the opposite side of I-70. You've also got South Charleston. They're kind of out of the warning at this point in time, but the storm's going to kind of cross right in between South Vienna and South Charleston. That's the one that's had a history of producing tornadoes today, at least one that we know of so far. What's interesting with this large tornado warning polygon, it looks like that they're just saying that this is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing. I was going to be interested to see if they were going to maybe say tracking a smaller line, because it is kind of a broken line, but that's interesting to see too as we continue to move on through. Real quick, I do want to touch base back on Northwest Ohio again. We kind of got briefly interrupted with the new tornado warning, but this includes Wauseon, Defiance, down to Ottawa, and east of Van Wert now, and all of Lima. Does not include Wapakoneta to this point, but we do want you to kind of be prepared. If you live north of US 33 up here into Northwest Ohio and approaching the I-75 corridor here soon, we do want you to kind of be on guard that we are going to see a line of strong to severe storms crossing the area. I don't want to spend too much time away from the tornado warnings, but folks, just understand if you are I-75 in west, US 33 in north, and east of the Ohio-Indiana state line. So I'll say that again, along and west of 75, north of US 33, and east of the Ohio-Indiana state line for about the next hour to 90 minutes. Be prepared for the threat of severe weather, including damaging winds and maybe an isolated tornado. There's still a tornado watch in effect along and south of US 30. Be curious to see if they want to extend that to the north given what we're seeing right now in that area. So, Zach, it looks like the warning for Champaign is gone, it looks like.
Yeah,
yes.
it looks like they canceled that one. I was just checking the tempest at my dad's there. He's a little bit southwest of South Charleston, so I know that storm's going to move. Just kind of skirt right on by him. He's got a southwest wind. He had a bit of a southeast breeze earlier. That's transitioned to a bit of a southwest wind. So I don't think that storm's probably taking in too much inflow at this point, and it looks like rotation's really coming down. So I would imagine we'll see that tornado warning drop off here before too long.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. And also, too, I'm watching that cell north of Urbana. That's where we had the previous tornado warning for Champaign County. Just the overall look at that one has me a little bit concerned, just a little bit. And also, right behind this, we're watching a secondary line of thunderstorms now kind of trailing down on the western sides of I-75, west of Dayton, up to about Sidney and Pickwood, and back down to north of Hamilton again. So they've not dropped the tornado watch from back there yet, so I'll be curious to see if that does continue. It looks like we have another new severe thunderstorm warning as well for Pickaway, Fayette, and Clinton counties, and it looks like that one is going to be more for a cell crossing out of Wilmington. I do want to show you velocity real quick on the cell that has the tornado warning that includes the city of London and Mount Sterling down to Jeffersonville and Octon, South Solon. Man, the velocity signatures have just been really noisy today, so it's really hard to get a very clear-cut look at exactly what is going on. But for those of you in London, the storm that is tornado warned is going to be right here near Jamestown and Octa, right in between there along US 35. You have the Jeffersonville Outlet Mall. There's also the Love's Truck Stop there, along with several restaurants. There's a BP there at the Jeffersonville Outlet Malls as well. This is going to be crossing in through northwestern Fayette County. And I think the reason why they may have taken the polygon so far north to include the city of London here, we've seen a couple storms today kind of turn more north-northeast at times, especially the one that crossed from New Carlisle to Northampton. So again, this is why sometimes the polygons are quite large to account for potential changes in storm motion and direction. But there is a tornado warning for the city of London, Jamestown, Jeffersonville, and Octa until 4 o'clock, includes Mount Sterling as well, right on that Madison and Pickaway County line. So you need to be in your safe place. That means getting below ground, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. A bicycle helmet, baseball helmet, football helmet, something over your head. If you don't have those things, a sofa cushion works, a mattress works. Just get into that safe place and stay there until these storms have passed. We've already had one confirmed tornado so far today, and I'm sure if we get some additional damage reports and additional surveys over the rest of this week, we could see additional tornadoes confirmed. Eastern Clark County has my attention now as well, east of Springfield, approaching South Vienna. Sometimes within these line segments, we can get a brief tornado, and what I'm watching for is just outside this tornado warning polygon. I'll flip it over to velocity real quick to see if my concerns are valid. And yes and no. This is kind of linear in terms of the velocity. It's not. There's definitely a little bit of a heightened spot just outside that tornado warning polygon to the north of South Charleston. So we'll watch that closely. But this entire line segment here looks more linear. So obviously damage wind is still the primary concern, but an isolated tornado or two still not out of the question this afternoon. And again, if you're up and down the I-71 corridor, and obviously this could be another reason why they just went ahead and replaced that severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado warning, because it is getting later in the day. A lot of traffic up and down the I-71 corridor, very heavily traveled from Columbus to Cincinnati. So probably not a bad idea to go ahead and replace that. So Zach, also that storm to the south of Xenia kind of trailing in behind. We'll have to watch that one too and see if that starts to show any signs of rotation.
Yeah, so far, not looking too menacing. I did just want to give a couple updates and reports here. The tornado watch for all of our Indiana counties has been dropped. So
Okay.
if you're in Indiana, your threat of severe weather is over for the day.
Okay.
And really, once that line that's just west of Dayton that's kind of developing, once that moves east of you, your severe threat is likely done for the day. Ping pong ball sized hail was reported northwest of Beaver Creek a little bit ago.
Oh, wow.
And storms are still averaging 45 mile an hour movement speed. So kind of helps explain, like you mentioned, with a lot of the traffic, especially as these move up towards Columbus, that forward speed, they're trying to give people, enough heads up to, get off the roads, do whatever they need to do before these storms barrel into them.
Yeah, we start getting a little bit more populated areas as well, the further north and east that goes. So we're going to watch that pretty closely here for the next little bit and kind of see how that evolves. Are there any reports coming out of northwest Ohio at all yet with any of those storms?
I have not seen anything. A couple reports, looks like from storms earlier as they moved through Indiana, but I have not seen anything from northwest Ohio.
Okay. I was just kind of curious on how that may kind of progress as we continue to move forward in time. So again, if you're just now tuning in, I'm forecasting return along with Zach Batten. We are tracking tornado warnings across parts of the Miami Valley into central Ohio, really now from about Springfield to London down to Jeffersonville. We do not have any confirmed tornadoes on the ground at this point in time, but I do want to mention that these storms have had a history of producing tornadoes today. We've had one confirmed tornado so far in the state of Ohio, a couple in Illinois. We may see some additional ones confirmed later on, but two areas of interest. Okay, first one's going to be right here just to the north of Jeffersonville. Hopefully everybody is indoors. I know the outlet mall is there. Hopefully everybody is indoors and in a more substantial shelter. That is moving right up the I-71 corridor, may graze London, and eventually move more towards Columbus. Mount Sterling, you're in the path of this as well. You're currently under that tornado warning. A second tornado warning, which is likely to expire any time now, a little bit early, for portions of central Clark County, not including Springfield, but just to the southeast of there, kind of in between Clifton and Springfield there, east of US 68, and west of Ohio Route 56 there. And looks like they just took Greene County out of the tornado warning there as well. I am watching, though, east of Springfield, because this structure here may try to turn tornadic a little bit. And I say that just because of the nature of what we've already had happen today. These storms have been very impressive, especially as they're working into portions of the Miami Valley, now moving towards central Ohio. Very impressive, long-lived. But the key here, there's not as much lightning on these storms. Where we're seeing all the lightning right now is across northwest Ohio. There's a line of severe thunderstorm warnings stretching from Defiance down to Lima. And these storms have a capability of producing winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour. Looks like a 57 mile per hour wind gust was reported in Van Wert from a trained spotter. And there's a power pole down on a car near Convoy in just to the west of Van Wert. That's why we see these warnings the way that they have been issued. And Zach, the northern end of that line there, where we have those warnings near Defiance, is starting to fall apart a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. Not super shocking. Once you get into really into Wood County, you're running into 40-degree temperatures. You're not going to be able to sustain too much with that. So it's essentially like the storms are going to hit a brick wall the farther east they go into northern Ohio. Southern Ohio, temperatures got warmer, so these storms are going to be able to progress east at least a little bit further than they would otherwise.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that whatsoever. Special weather statement now just issued too for the secondary line coming in through Pickaway and Troy in Miami County, Champaign County, Clark County, gusts up to 45. Is the tornado watch still in effect for I-75 there in Dayton? Still, have they dropped that back yet?
It is still in effect, I do.
Okay, so then we're gonna go and take the presumption that this could turn potentially on the severe side if we have enough energy left. So once this line here to the far west clears, then our severe weather threat will start to diminish very quickly, if not completely end altogether. All of these cells that are stretching now from near the Honda plant at the Logan and Union County line down in through Champaign County, Clark and Madison County, Fayette County, and I'll even show you a couple to the far south here shortly. All of these storms are more discrete and they carry a very legitimate and valid tornado potential. So Marysville, Columbus, Circleville, early call-outs to you. These storms have a history of producing damage, large hail, and at least one tornado. Be prepared for a tornado warning to be issued. So London, you're still under a tornado warning. Same thing with Jeffersonville and Mount Sterling. To the far south, watching one storm coming into Hillsborough. Not overly impressive, but it is decent in nature. We're going to have to watch this and see if this develops into anything. But that's going to cross to the north and east, crossing northern Highland County here shortly. That will cross US 68 shortly as well. Zach, I'm not able to see the Weather Service right now. Are there any updates coming from them on anything?
Looks like they got a non-thunderstorm wind gust, 48 mile an hour at the Oxford Miami Airport.
Okay.
In Butler County. So that's potentially with that line that's starting to come through, although it's a little bit south of that. So even as all of this moves east, winds behind all of this are going to pick up as well as the cold front approaches and the low kind of moves into northern Ohio.
Okay.
So something we're going to have to keep an eye on there. I will say the good news is it looks like, especially in Clark County, really both of those tornado warnings there, rotation has kind of really fallen off.
Yeah, I see that too, and that may have something to do with all the rain that's out ahead of these storms. But we still have valid tornado warnings in effect for Madison and Fayette County. I think the Clark County we can give an all clear on at this.
Yeah, and I actually
juncture.
just got a report. Looks like 4 miles northeast of New Carlisle. Amateur radio reports wires down, possible tornado. That would have been it.
Okay.
216.
Yes, that would have been with that storm that came through Christiansburg, Northampton. That was our very small tornado warning polygon that was kind of near the terminal Doppler in Dayton as well, on the northern side of Dayton there. So that's interesting to see. That tornado warning for Clark County actually expires in 3 minutes, but the cell that prompted that warning has moved into Madison County. And I will tell you, folks, you can just kind of zoom this out for you just a little bit. If you're near the Honda plant up here, okay, that's eastern Logan County. Down into northeastern Champaign County, west central Union County, there's no lightning really being detected on those storms. That's a little concerning if they do turn severe. No really advanced heads up. So if you live up towards Richwood and Marysville, just be indoors and let these storms pass on through. And then you have the secondary line that's back here crossing I-75 right now. Once that clears you, then your severe weather threat will start to taper off for the evening hours. But as it stands right now, we still have 2 valid tornado warnings. The one for Clark County itself we can give an all clear on. The tornado warning for portions of Madison County and northern Fayette County until 4 o'clock. Let's get you a little bit more of a centralized update on this one. I can pretty much say, and Zach, you can disagree if you think this is wrong, but I think London is okay at this point.
I would agree. My mom lives in London. She was actually just asking. They got the tornado sirens in London.
Okay.
So I was just letting her know. It looks like London proper, this storm should stay south of you.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought too. I do think London is in pretty good shape now. In fact, my boss actually lives in London, so he's actually watching us at the moment, I'm sure. And I know his family is there. So, yeah, London we'll give an all clear for at this point. At least from the tornado warning, you may still have some strong gusty winds and heavy rain working through both north and south of London, but London proper itself not in too bad shape. If you're in London, say, going to be south of the 665 London Groveport Road, I would still maybe consider being in a safe spot for right now, just in case that storm does turn a little bit more. Grove City, West Jefferson, Urban Crest, Briggsdale, Franklin Township, Commercial Point, kind of an early heads up for you. While the storm does not look as tornadic at the moment, these storms have had a long-lived history of cycling back and forth today, even with all the rain out ahead of it. And Zach, one thing that was really interesting on the models last night is some of the models depicted that the severe weather threat would actually be on the back side of all this plain rain that we're seeing. So this is really interesting to see how this is validated and actually happened today.
Yeah, and it wasn't really until this morning where it looked like it became clear we were going to get multiple waves, where the first rain this morning of just, or the first wave this morning of just kind of light rain, maybe a rumble of thunder, and then kind of two more waves. So we have the initial cells that are working through towards Columbus, and then this little line developing behind it. The morning models, I think, did a pretty good job at picking up on this.
Yeah, I agree with that 110%. And real quick, an update too for our friends in Northwest Ohio. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect for portions of Fulton County, Henry County, Defiance County, and northern Putnam County until 4 o'clock. That is tagged tornado possible, but those storms are really starting to fall apart at the northern end of that line. The part of the line that's still really intense is actually here across parts of Putnam County and far northern portions of Allen County. There's a severe thunderstorm warning here for Lima and Ottawa and eastern Van Wert County until 4 o'clock. That expires in 15 minutes. The winds could be gusting as high as 60 miles per hour. Already a report of a power pole down near Convoy that fell onto a vehicle. I don't think there were any injuries based on that report that I read initially there. And we've also had some reports of some strong winds and even some trees down at West Jefferson and Homestead and Fort Wayne. So, and also a tree down on US 24 at Reading Drive. So those of you that live in central portions of Putnam County and eventually towards Findlay, okay, this is coming right toward you. We've had a history of wind damage with this line segment, so don't be surprised. That's coming up to the Weather Service in Cleveland if they ultimately decide to issue a warning for that. If this type of structure can last for another 15 to 30 minutes, I think they might have to issue a warning for portions of Hancock County, but we'll have to kind of watch that as we get a little bit closer on in time here this evening. So let's take a look at our tornado warning that is still in effect here from Madison County. It looks like they've taken Fayette County out completely now. But I am watching, Zach, that cell near just to the north of Washington Courthouse is interesting too. It's not tagged tornado possible, but the overall structure of that still looks a little interesting to me.
Yeah, it looks like it's still kind of demonstrating the same characteristics as a lot of them have today, where they get that kind of hook shape, but the rotation never really tightens up. It looks like the storm south of London, still not too impressive. There's a little bit more lightning on the storm that just exited Clark County too.
Yeah, I was getting ready to talk about that one too. So those of you north and west of London up towards Plain City, so we're talking those of you along Ohio Route 29, so that runs from West Jefferson to Mechanicsburg. This is about to cross you here shortly. Increase in lightning. We'll watch and see if this one wants to turn severe. It is a little bit more isolated, however, it's still connected as part of this this conglomerate of showers and a few thunderstorms out there this evening still continuing. But right now this one not exhibiting any severe features, but if you're working north of London and I-70 up towards Plain City and Dublin, this is going to be a cell you're going to want to watch very closely here. We still have a tornado watch, so conditions are favorable for the development of severe weather, including tornadoes. And then off to the north here too.
New tornado as well. Sorry.
New tornado warning?
Yep, for Adams, Pike, Scioto, and...
Oh, okay.
It looks like that is it.
Okay, so so this is way down to the south now. So we have a new tornado warning now for northeastern portion of Adams County, Ohio. That includes the city of Peebles, over into Pike County, which includes most of Pike County, really, so Waverly and Piketon. And this is going to go until 4:15 this afternoon for quarter-size hail. I'm not seeing much on that. Oh, there it is. Oh, that is very clear. Right there over Peebles. So prime example today, folks. Reflectivity, not very impressive looking whatsoever. It looks just like a renegade summertime shower, but velocity, sorry, go for velocity, Much different story here just to the north of Peebles. So that's going to be north of the Peebles Cemetery. You've got Ohio Route 32 that runs you up into portions of Pike County. Nobody should be driving out there right now with a tornado warning, but this area here, we could be seeing a new tornado developing. That velocity signature looks very impressive. Let's go over to correlation coefficient and take a look at that. Right now it's clear, and that's good, but the terrain down here is a little interesting. So the correlation coefficient might take some time to pick up on anything. If there was anything down. So we're going to broaden this out just a little bit now to kind of give you a full scope of everything going on across the region. We have severe thunderstorm warnings as far north as Defiance and Wassee in Ohio, and tornado warnings as far south as Pike and portions of Adams County. So a very impressive afternoon continuing to set up here. And now we're going to be moving into the early evening hours shortly. We continue to watch these thunderstorms. They're rather intense. You can see the lightning count is only at 70 across our entire coverage area. And Zach, that in itself is interesting because a lot of folks are, they're used to hearing thunder and seeing lightning for kind of a heads up that a storm is even coming. You may not get as much of that today.
Yeah, with the just kind of general lack of instability that we have across the entire area, lightning, even though we had a fair bit, here and there, especially with the northern line as it was moving in, not something you're going to really want to rely on to let you know something's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, man, the velocity signatures from Madison County are a mess. I was looking at the terminal Doppler out of Columbus, too, for maybe a little bit of a different perspective, but very, very noisy today. And that sometimes happens if we have interference or other things potentially causing issues with radar data here. Okay, new tornado warning now as well. Did I just get another one? Or nope, maybe not. I think my phone was just a little bit behind getting me that one on Adams and in Pike County. Okay, so there was a TVS showing up in Madison County, but I'm not seeing anything to validate that on the Wilmington radar. But again, it's really tough to tell what's going on. Okay, actually there is a little bit of rotation there. It's really tough to kind of point out. Zach, you tell me if you're seeing this too, just the northeast of Midway.
Yeah, just a little bit. I'm going to try to see if the terminal from Columbus can see anything. That is.
Yeah, it is a.
Yeah, just not better.
Yeah, it's very noisy. But if there is any kind of rotation, it's gonna reside south of London, just to the east of Midway, and that's gonna cross 665. Here the very next little bit. In fact, Weather Service is going to make a determination on Franklin County here shortly as to whether or not they're going to issue a new tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning. Okay, new tornado warning for Fayette, Ross, and Highland. Wow. Okay, so we have another new tornado warning now to the south. So this is south of Washington Courthouse, includes the city of Hillsborough. We were watching that one a little bit ago. Go ahead, Zach.
That one's starting to look pretty significant there. Kind of ramped up there in a hurry.
Yeah, it did. Okay, so yeah, let's take a look at that. And also the one in Brown County I'm watching too. They're north of Georgetown. Yeah, that's concerning there too. So it looks like they've issued a new severe thunderstorm warning for somebody as well. So lots of new warnings coming in. Let's kind of start you off from south to north. First of all, tornado warning for Adams County continues around Peebles. That also goes up into Pike County around Waverly. We have an area of rotation here near Peebles that is a little bit concerning. That seems to have broadened up just a little bit. But the newest tornado warning now is for the city of Hillsborough, South Salem, Greenfield, Frankfort, and Bainbridge. This is a radar-indicated rotation until 4:15 p.m. this evening. And we continue to watch an area of rotation here over Highland County. This is really spiked up, as Zach said, in the last few minutes. And this cell is by itself, so we are likely going to see this one last for a while as well. That's going to head up towards Greenfield here shortly, and then ultimately into portions of Ross County. So it does not include the city of Chillicothe. I do want to point that out. Also does not include the city of Washington Courthouse at this point. A new severe thunderstorm for northwestern Franklin County, southeastern Union County, and northern Madison County. That's going to be for the cell that crossed out of Springfield a little earlier that Zach was watching, and the lightning had kind of picked up on that, and now we have a severe thunderstorm warning. It is tagged tornado possible until 4:15, moving to the northeast at 45. And Zach, I'm a little concerned now. The cell southeast of London appears to be wanting to wrap back up a little bit and maybe kind of conjoining forces with another thunderstorm around Mount Sterling potentially.
Yeah, it looks like they're kind of competing for inflow, but it looks like the one southeast of London is really kind of starting to win out. It's almost got a kind of a clean slot in there where it's taking in a little bit warmer air anyway. That might be kind of feeding it a little bit.
And there is also a severe thunderstorm warning now, a new one for northeastern Allen County, Ohio, east central Putnam County, and northeastern portions of Henry County until 4:15 for 60-mile-per-hour winds. Not to take too much time away from our 3 active tornado warnings. Not going to be able to spend a ton of time up here, but just as a heads up again, Findlay, Bowling Green, right along that I-75 corridor, we are likely going to see an intense area of winds and very strong weather working across that area here very soon with a lot of lightning on those particular storms. It's a very thin line here across parts of Putnam County, and that will be working off towards the northeast. So if you're about to leave work this afternoon, working from Findlay and points north, you're going to get caught in the crosshairs of some very gusty winds and some thunder and lightning in the near term. So back down to our tornado warnings. We have 3 active tornado warnings. And let's start with, we'll just kind of work from south to north. This one here near Peebles was very interesting a little while ago. And it's still exhibiting some signs of rotation. And I'm also watching portions of Brown County. I'll talk about that one in just a second. But here northeast of Peebles, still seeing some decent signs of rotation. It has broadened up just a little bit, but the track on that would take it towards Waverly and Piketon and US 23. Very heavily traveled road from Chillicothe to Portsmouth, starting to get to around this time of the day. So nobody should be driving out there now. But Waverly and Piketon, you have several minutes advance heads up. You need to be getting to your safe place if you're not already there. Watching Brown County, you see the velocity there looks interesting, but the shower, I mean, this is just a shower. There's really not much lightning here. The lightning that is there is actually way outside the actual parent shower here, but the overall structure on this one, we've seen this a few times today. We'll have to watch that one very closely to see if we get anything in terms of tornadic activity with that. So working back to the north, Hillsborough, still under a tornado warning, but we can give you an all clear because the storm that produced the warning is now moving up, more towards the Leesburg area and east of there towards Greenfield, and then eventually to west central portions of Ross County, southeastern Fayette County still into this as well. Zach, what are your thoughts on what they're going to do with this cell coming out of London and Columbus? I'm leaning towards at least a severe thunderstorm warning, but folks need to start getting prepared. Oh, and I may have lost Zach there briefly.
I'm here.
Oh, no, there you are.
I tend to agree. It's still having a hard time getting organized. I think it really is fighting with the cell that's kind of right next to it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go thunderstorm warning and just tag it tornado possible.
Yeah, I would not be surprised either. So again, the Columbus Metro, I would be prepared just in case. The City of London, we can give you an all clear now at this point. That includes those of you along US 42, 665. Anybody in the City of London, you're good. To the south of London, around South Solon, I would not come out just yet. There's a secondary cell that has kind of developed here, just to be on the safe side. Even though the storm that prompted the tornado warning is about to move into Franklin County here momentarily, I would not completely let your guard down just yet down here to southwestern Madison County around South Solon. I'm going to turn that TVS marker off. Those are not updating as they should. Watching another line of strong thunderstorms with a little bit of an inflow notch actually here. Just to the northeast of Tip City in eastern Miami County. It's not severe, but I just want to give you a heads up. St. Paris, eventually Urbana, Northridge, Springfield, another round of gusty storms coming through. Not severe right now, but that could change in a matter of moments. So I'm also having issues with the National Weather Service, so Zach will have to kind of keep me updated on if there's anything coming from there. And new severe thunderstorm warning. Yeah, go ahead, Zach.
New tornado warning for Franklin, Madison,
and that's going to be for me. So I'm going to have to, there we go. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it looks like the a TVS did just show up.
Yeah. So at this point, folks, I'm going to have to look at taking my shelter here very shortly, which I'm actually in my shelter at my office. So I'm going to keep the stream up for as long as I keep power, and you're going to hear the sirens starting in the background now. So I'm going to have to make some preparations here. You're going to hear some noise going on in the background. I'm going to keep live and keep talking to you here, but I'm just going to leave the radar up for the time being. I've still got a little bit of time, but I don't want to run behind. So, Zach, I'm going to let you take it away here for just a few minutes while I kind of prepare myself here a little bit. I know we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning in northwestern Ohio as well. You can kind of talk about that, but I'm just going to leave the radar zoomed out, and I'll let you take it away here for a little bit.
Yeah, so the thunderstorm warning that you mentioned is for Hancock, Sandusky, Seneca, Wood, and Wyandotte until 4:45. That is for winds near 60 mile an hour, so that's kind of the north end of that line. south of Toledo that's about to kind of barrel through the Bowling Green and Findlay areas. Of course, we want to focus more so on the storm heading into the Columbus metro. See what other alerts it's got. So the tornado warning for Adams, Pike, and Scioto counties have been canceled. So that's some good news. So that is one less we have to worry about. I will say the circulation northeast of Hillsboro looks like it is tightened up just west of New Petersburg. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Don't see any signs of debris or anything like that, but we will keep an eye on that. And then, of course, the storm moving into the Columbus metro. I don't see, it's so messy, but I don't see clear indications of rotation. There's maybe a couple spots just kind of southwest of Darbydale and southwest of Grove City. The tornado warning for Madison County has also been allowed to expire. So that leaves us with 2 warnings currently in effect. I'm switching between a couple different products here, looking for any indications of debris or anything like that. Not seeing much. Let's see. Yeah, the storm coming into Columbus. I still don't see tight rotation. There's definitely still at least some broad rotation at the very least. Maybe a couple different spots. The more we look at it. Looks like near, yeah, still southwest of Darbydale. And then maybe south, a little bit southwest of Orient as well. A couple different spots. I would say the cell northeast of Hillsboro definitely looks a little bit better, both velocity and reflectivity. The severe thunderstorm warning for Madison County has also expired. Checking anything from the National Weather Service, not seeing any updates from them. I stand corrected. Looks like we got a 62 mile an hour wind gust in downtown Dayton. That would have been about 350, so about 10 minutes ago as that kind of secondary line moves through. So do expect some gusty winds with that. Moving into Bellefontaine, Urbana, New Carlisle, Dayton. Gusty winds as that line moves through.
Yeah, and real quick, Zach, just to give everybody a quick heads up, I'm going to hang tight here for just a few more minutes before I kind of hang out in my... we're going to go to the bathroom here shortly, but I just wanted to kind of give everybody a quick update here. Most of downtown Columbus, Grove City, Harrisburg, Franklin Township, Prairie Township, Jackson Township, all of you guys are in a tornado warning. It is radar indicated rotation. Zach, I've not had a chance to look at velocity. Are you seeing much on that one?
It's still so messy that it's hard to pick out really anywhere. I would say just southwest of Grove City.
Okay.
But it doesn't look particularly impressive.
Yeah, I'm going to look at it now real quick. Yeah, that is... I don't know why everything is so messy today. It really makes it difficult to kind of cover things for you guys. So also kind of watching down here into Ross County as well, just give you a quick zoomed in look. Northeastern Highland County, southeastern Fayette County, western Ross County. We still have a tornado warning here for radar indicated rotation. This is going to continue until looks like 4:15 for that and quarter size hail. A little bit of rotation there, possibly south and east of Leesburg. So just wanted to kind of update you on that. So here's what's getting ready to happen, folks. I am going to just leave the radar up widescreen, kind of as it is. Zach, would you rather me do that, or do you want to kind of focus in on the 2 tornado warnings for a little bit here?
You can leave it, yeah, just wide enough to kind of see those 2 warnings.
Okay, that's fine. I'll zoom it in just a little bit to kind of see both of those warnings, and we'll kind of go from there. So, folks, again, for right now, I'm going to go stay in my shelter. I'll see if I can find a way to... Zach, are you talking to me on your cell phone or on your desktop?
I'm on my desktop.
If I call you on your cell phone. Are you using a microphone to where you could hold it up and I can still talk at least?
Yes, I should be able to do that.
Okay, awesome. But just give me a heads up when you're ready for that. So, folks, I'm going to leave the radar up. I'm going to head to my shelter, and Zach's going to take it away again here for just a few minutes. Be sure that you guys are in your safe place, and I'll come back as soon as the storm has passed us. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Eddie and Zach's going to take it away for a short time, and I'll hop back on with you guys here momentarily.
Okay, and I will shoot him a message. I don't know if you can still hear me. Let him know he is good to call, and we'll see how this goes. A couple updates from the National Weather Service. New tornado warning for Franklin and Pickaway until 4:30. Dayton Cox Airport, non-thunderstorm wind gust of 47. That's what that line is. It moves through. They did issue another special weather statement for that line west of Urbana and Springfield. Taking a look at our storm moving into Columbus, not seeing much still. It's still so messy it's hard to tell. Get Nick here. Okay, can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
Okay, so hopefully we'll see if people can hear you. If not, I can turn this up a little bit. So right now, still hard to pick anything out. There's no one area that looks more impressive than the others. Looks like it's going to pass maybe just west of Grove City, in between West Jefferson and Grove City, kind of right up into downtown.
Okay. Yeah, Zach, and I see that too. Just so you guys know, I'm calling Zach a little bit of a different type of setup today for this, but sometimes this is just the way that it goes. We have a new tornado warning that includes the Rickenbacker Airport. There's a lot of warehouses out there. Sam's Club, DHL, Proctor, or not Proctor, but you've got Zulili's out there. You've got McGraw-Hill's out there. The FedEx facility is out there as well. So just a really interesting time across Franklin County here this evening. I need to be in a safe place until these storms have passed. Watching that secondary line crossing US 68. Also watching a tornado warning in Ross, Fayette, and Highland counties this evening. Everybody's got to be in a safe place right now. If you are near and south of Columbus, US 23, Ohio Route 104, we're starting to get on some of the really heavy rain here now at my location. But the winds are dead calm, so that's really interesting to see as well. So, Zach, are all these still radar indicated?
They are all still radar indicated. I'm bouncing back and forth, looking at correlation coefficient, and I'm not seeing anything on any product. Looks like the tornado warning for Fayette, Highland, and Ross has expired.
Really? Okay.
They have continued a severe thunderstorm warning tag tornado possible for Franklin, Madison, and Union until 4:15.
Okay. So folks, I really appreciate flexibility of everybody today. Again, this is something that we have to sometimes prepare for, but don't think about. But yeah, Zach, I'm looking at the velocities too, and it is just so messy today, and it makes it difficult to pinpoint anything else. So sometimes, we have to go with what we have. And
so
my cat. Yeah, go ahead, Zach.
I'm looking at potentially a debris signature near Orient. I don't know if you're able to verify that for me. If you have radar to look at, looks like it just showed up in the last couple frames.
Let's see.
Just
you're talking near Harrisburg there too?
Yes, right there near Harrisburg, southwest of Grove City a little bit.
I wouldn't be totally surprised if that is. Man, that's a really tough one to say right there.
Yeah, it just showed up in the last couple frames. Let me back this up a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it really exploded right as it went through Harrisburg.
Okay.
Harrisburg and Orient.
On it too. So, I'm also watching the Darbyville area too. That one looks interesting. And then also now kind of crossing near 270 and the Georgesville Road exit. I'm watching that maybe kind of for some rotation coming in on the backside. I will tell you that in my house right now, we just have extreme rain, and I have one window because unfortunately I do not have a room in my house without windows. But I will tell you that winds are dead calm, which is a little eerie if you ask me. So we're watching this all really, really closely for you guys, and I'm safe right now where we're at. We're doing okay, and we're going to go through this, and as soon as things have kind of cleared out, I'll come back in and we'll kind of resume how we were doing things beforehand. But just kind of keep in mind, I'm still watching that spot there too, Zach, near Harrisburg. That is interesting. If that is debris, it's happening in a really odd part of the thunderstorm.
Yeah.
But it certainly does. It looks more than noise, like more than like what we had earlier. It looks very reminiscent to what we had near Dayton earlier today.
Yeah, it's very consistent,
really
very kind of compact right there. Waiting for any kind of verification from the National Weather Service before we really call it out, but definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Also getting a notification now for everybody in Groveport, multiple warehouses are on lockdown. This is a really tough situation for those out in the Obetz, Groveport, Lockbourne area. When you have tornadoes situations like this, it really makes it difficult because you're in a concrete building, and yes, there are concrete reinforced areas in some parts of these buildings, but folks, we have to find shelter indoors, away from windows as best as you possibly can. Get under some kind of bathroom if you can, bathroom sink, a workbench in your basement if you have it, just something a little bit more sturdy to protect yourself from flying debris. We have 2 active tornado warnings, one for Franklin County and Madison County and Pickaway County, essentially Franklin, Madison, Prairie, and Jackson Townships until 4:30, and then a tornado warning for southeastern Franklin County, basically the warehouse district of Groveport, and then over towards Asheville, South Bloomfield, north of Circleville, and including the Rickenbacker International Airport until 4:30 as well. These radar signatures are just really messy today. So as a corps, least regret, we just want you to stay indoors and away from windows until these storms pass. There's not a ton of lightning with these storms. I do want to kind of point that out as well. Sirens are continuing to sound across much of Franklin County this evening. And in fact, I would believe that potentially all 4 sectors are going off, as the polygon should be crossing all 4 sectors. So those of you in Dublin and even as far east as Gahanna and Bexley may be hearing some of those sirens as well. I'm still watching a pretty strong storm towards Frankfurt. It looks like Tyler has sent a message too about Adena Hospital being potentially moved all their patients as well. We're watching things very, very closely. I know Brant is also in shelter where they're at the Rickenbacker International Airport. Not a very great tornado place there either, obviously, in bigger buildings like that. So we're watching all this very closely. And now what is interesting, we are still very calm winds here, but the rain has kind of let up temporarily, and hopefully that is a sign that the worst of this is about to kind of pass through. But I've had no wind whatsoever with this, and that's really kind of eerie for those of you that are familiar with tornadoes. Sometimes you can get a lot of heavy rain, and then you get a brief break, and then that's when the tornado happens. So we're hanging tight here at this particular point. Not going to venture outside, so to speak. Is that a debris ball south of Grove City? Yeah, we've been watching that. In fact, I still don't know how to feel about that. It has dissipated now, but that would have crossed I-71. So I would imagine if there is something, we should know about it shortly.
I tend to agree. Also watching near the Commercial Point, northwest of South Bloomfield, for a little bit, an area of enhanced rotation. There's almost a little donut hole showing up on reflectivity. So keeping an eye on that. No, I don't see any signs of debris or anything like that at the moment. So that is good, and it does look like that potential debris signature near Grove City, kind of south of Grove City, has really, really come down. But man,
Yeah,
all the
looking at the Doppler too, and there's not much to go off of.
yeah,
Really, really tough to get a good read on it. Even tilt 2 is not great. There's not much to go off of.
yeah, it is hard to get a good look at anything right now.
Yeah, and then Zach, that line back to the west does not look very impressive either. So I know a couple folks are asking about that. Highland County, southeastern Highland County, has a broad area of rotation as well, with another shower kind of developing there. But our 20th threat right now, guys, is maximized right in the heart of central Ohio, Columbus, right down to Lockbourne, Groveport. I know that on the screen right now, I am watching the live feed, and I see that the Ross County warning is still up. Sometimes when the Weather Service issues those expirations, they're not parsed out correctly, so they don't fall off right away, per se.
Yeah, so I'm looking at Radar Omega, and that warning has dropped off. So I do not believe that warning should be there anymore. And then for the folks asking about the line that's coming through Urbana right across US 68, so far reports from looks like Wright Brothers Airport a little bit ago is kind of the southern end of that line moved through. It was a 47-mile-an-hour gust, so expect really anywhere between about 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts as this little kind of secondary line moves through. Nothing severe at this time, but it is getting a little breezy. And actually, here at my house, the rain has really picked up, and we actually had some thunder. So,
Jeremy
something.
Newman of the Side of Post has reported something may have happened at I-71 and 762. That's down towards Mount Sterling. I'll be interested to see. I don't know if that's referencing the backside of the storm, which appears to be maybe developing something else of its own, kind of outside of the tornado warning polygon there, Zach, north of Mount Sterling. But based on what I can see of the live feed with the lightning up there, definitely an increased amount of lightning in that particular spot. And now the Ross County warning has dropped off the trees. Again, sometimes, as I said, it takes a minute for those to be parsed out correctly and taken off. I do see a little bit of a donut hole in reflectivity, Zach, just to the south of Lockbourne in the northern portion of Pickaway County there, based on the live feed right there along US 23. But that radar screen on the live feed might be a couple minutes old, but very interesting to see what's going on there.
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of a donut hole right there south of Lockbourne. Velocity-wise, it's very broad. It doesn't look like anything super tight. Not seeing any indications of any debris or anything like that on any of our storms. So that is encouraging. And I haven't seen any reports from the National Weather Service about damage. There was one from about 3:40. Utility poles down 2 miles southwest of Brookville in Montgomery County. But nothing with any of the storms that are moving through right now.
Okay. So again, for those of you in the Columbus area, a quick update for you. Bexley, Gahanna, Whitehall, you're not in the tornado warning, but I would be in your safe places anyway. The storm that prompted that tornado warning is kind of working through downtown right now. Also down through US 23 South High Street to the 270 exit. That's one particular storm of interest. And then the second storm of interest includes the warehouse district of Franklin County. So Groveport, Lockbourne, Obetz. We're still watching a nasty storm coming through there. Really tough to get a good read, but there is a little bit of a donut hole in reflectivity. Not seeing much on velocity, and correlation coefficient at this time is clear. So we're not seeing any real true signs of debris anywhere, which is good. And hopefully it stays that way. I will say at my house, again, it's just eerily quiet with just very heavy rain. So it's kind of odd. Normally a tornado warning is not this calm. But again, still in my shelter here for at least a little bit longer. I want to kind of watch what the back end kind of goes through. So again, you're looking at right now, I understand that there are still some severe thunderstorm warnings off to the north for portions of Hancock and Seneca and Wyandotte counties until 4:45 for gusts up to 60 miles per hour and hail less than penny size. But really, that doesn't look overly impressive, at least to us at this point in time. Obviously, right now, our main concern is right here across the Columbus metro area. Warehouses across the Groveport district remain on lockdown at this point in time. So we have places like Sam's Club, McGraw-Hill, Zulily, DHL warehouses, also McKesson over in the Grove City area. Just name a few pinpoint landmarks for you. The Columbus International Airport is not under a tornado warning, but I'm telling you, you're probably not seeing any planes taking off right now in this weather, even though there's not an active warning at this point in time. And really, we've not even had much of any thunder with this. And as we alluded to this earlier, sometimes people equate lightning and thunder as the potential for a storm coming, but you're not going to get that with this particular setup. So anything else from the Weather Service, Zach? There's been a little little quiet, so to speak.
Nothing else. There was a report of a 47-mile-an-hour gust by the ASOS station at Wright Pat Air Force Base at 4:06 as that little secondary line came through. So, staying consistent with the 40 to 50-mile-an-hour gusts.
Okay.
That's out of Indiana. Power lines sheared in Hancock County, Indiana, from the storms as they moved through there earlier. Nothing. Nothing else.
I'm also watching, Zach, the tail end of this one coming through Grove City. I know it's really tough to get a good read on.
Yeah, there's definitely. Yeah, right there near. It's like Darbydale.
Yeah.
Moving right up to Interstate 71. Looks like a little area of tighter velocities trying to get going. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. This particular radar shows a TDS just south of Lockbourne. A little bit of broad rotation, but I don't really see that much.
Yeah, I don't see anything on correlation either. At my house now, the wind is starting to pick up decently, but we're kind of in the odd part of the storm for a tornado to happen. But again, I'm looking out the window the best I can. I mean, obviously, tell you folks to get into a room with no windows, but sometimes you don't have a choice. But yeah, the winds have definitely picked up. So I'm going to hang tight here until the back end of that storm coming through Grove City kind of clears us, just so we're in the clear. I'm not even sure. The warning expires in 10 minutes, so I guess we could even base it off of that too. If the warning's allowed to expire a little early, or if it does expire on time, then we'll kind of go from there. So those of you in Columbus who are watching this very closely, the warehouse district of Groveport, we're watching that area as well. If you're just now tuning in, forecaster Nick Dunn with forecaster Zach Batten. I'm in my shelter at this moment. Not in control of the radar, but you guys do see on the screen there that we're watching 2 tornado warnings in the Columbus metro. One is for downtown and Grove City. The other one is for Obetz and Lockbourne and Groveport over to Canal Winchester, and also northern Pickaway County north of Asheville and east of Commercial Point there. It's going to be east of US 23. And for the most part, Pickaway County is about out of this. We'll give it just a few more minutes, though, just to kind of be on the safe side. And any updates on any of the warnings being expired or anything, Zach? Because I'm not getting those notifications. Not seeing that there isn't. It looks like there was a new severe thunderstorm warning for Delaware. It looks like.
Yeah, it looks like for eastern Franklin, northwest Fairfield, southeastern Delaware, and Licking County until 5:15.
That is a good piece of news, and that tells me that they are not going to replace these tornado warnings with new tornado warnings. So that's a piece of good news. It tells us that these storms are likely weakening to a point, but obviously, is that one tagged tornado possible? Do you know the new one?
It is, yes.
It is, okay.
Looking still.
International Airport, Bryce, New Albany, Newark, Alexandria, Pataskala, Pickerington, up to Utica, over to Hanover. I would still probably be in my safe place anyway. In Newark, it's raining. It's raining right now, and you might think that there's a tornado or that's the actual storm that prompted the warning, but that's not the case. That storm is still way back to your west, and still has a little bit of room to go yet. I'm still watching that area near Harrisburg too. That's interesting. That's coming right up I-71. But again, the velocity signatures are just so noisy. It's hard to get a very good read on what is happening really on that storm or the other one that's out there by Rickenbacker too.
Yeah, that's pretty much looking the same as they have the entire time they've come through. Just kind of a mess with no real clear spot to watch for.
Yeah, the other thing too that's interesting is I'm looking at the lightning has all but dissipated completely in Columbus. You see one strike there on your screen. That's from the Franklin-Pickaway County line. So that's kind of where things are at this point. Was there a new tornado watch issue, Zach?
I will check.
Somebody's commenting saying that Washington County is under a tornado watch. So there may have been a new one issued that may not have gotten an alert for, but we've got so many alerts in the last little bit here.
There was for kind of east, central, and southeast Ohio and into West Virginia, so into the Mid-Ohio Valley there. Issued until 7 o'clock this evening.
I just got a picture of a rope funnel cloud in Pickaway County. Trying to get an exact location of this. If this is in northeastern Pickaway County or if this was in northwestern Pickaway County on the backside of the storm coming into Grove City. Jeremy Newman from the Side of Post just sent this to me, so as soon as I get an exact location, I'll let you know. Mark is saying that the control tower at the Columbus Airport has potentially been evacuated, and I think that's a safe call, albeit maybe a little late potentially. But again, I don't know what their protocols are and things of that nature, so we're just going to continue to monitor this very closely. Don't have a way to play Jeremy's audio from the scanner at this point in time, so I'm going to play on the safe side. I'm just going to continue to hang out where I'm at until the cell that's coming into Grove City now passes through another 5 or 6 minutes, and hopefully the warning will expire with nothing else. It looks like they took away the Pickaway County altogether there too, Zach. The southeastern Franklin County warning. So it looks like they took Pickaway County out.
They did, yeah. They canceled Pickaway and continued Franklin County until 4:30.
Okay.
The Middletown Airport AWOS reported a wind gust of 51 mile an hour.
Okay.
So that's, I think, the strongest we've seen with that. And actually, that is probably well behind that line coming through.
From what I can tell, the rotation near Grove City might be trying to pick up again, but again, these signatures are so messy. The one in Groveport, too, looks interesting. I just had our first rumble of thunder since all this started here, so that's interesting, too. So Zach, what's your take on what you're seeing? I know folks right now can't see much on radar because I'm not in control of it at the moment, but we've got about 4 minutes left until both these warnings are set to expire.
Yeah, looks like maybe enhanced area of velocities right there, kind of near Groveport, and then looking back towards Grove City. Yeah, it's a weird little appendage there, but not seeing anything. Any real indications of tight rotation there anyway. It's all pretty broad.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I will say I think the storm over Groveport is a little stronger in my opinion. But that's just kind of looking at things from a broad perspective and not looking at things very closely.
I would agree with that. Also watching a couple more cells to the south. There's one west of Waverly. Looks like it's starting to kind of get its act together. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And then some cells starting to come out of Kentucky that'll enter southern Ohio near Portsmouth, kind of in between Portsmouth and Ironton. So we're going to keep an eye on those as they cross into Ohio. But for now, the storm's near Columbus. It's still hard to tell, but it doesn't look like either of them have particularly strong rotation at the moment.
I would agree. The only thing I'm going to watch is that cell near Grove City trying to become a little bit more isolated now, and as we've seen today, and the sirens are going again. And just so you guys know in Columbus how it works, the sirens will intermittently continue until the warning has been allowed to expire. So we still have about 3 minutes left until the tornado warnings are set to expire. I will be coming out of my It's not very happy that we are in a confined space at the present moment, but we're continuing to monitor all of these storms for you very carefully this evening. Do you have an expiration time on that new tornado watch, Zach?
I believe it was 7 o'clock. Let's see if I still pulled up. Yeah, it is 7 p.m. And also, just had, I think that was thunder. I'm not entirely sure what that was. It was really loud. Blacklick on the northeast side of Columbus, kind of east side.
Yeah.
Almost heading right towards the, I believe I'm looking at the terminal radar there. A pretty tight couplet there, moving just south of Blacklick, crossing 256 north of 40.
Okay. I see a comment here that says off of Darby Creek Road, there may have been a brief touchdown with a major gas leak and fire. That's interesting to note because I don't know what part of the storm. Is that with the original one, or is this with the back one that's still kind of working on coming through? Northwestern Fairfield County is under a severe thunderstorm warning for a storm coming out of Groveport. Same for Newark and Licking County, southeastern Delaware County. So that's kind of where things are there.
Okay, so the tornado warning for Franklin County, they allowed to expire.
Okay, well, then that's good. Then I'm going to come on out of my shelter at this point in time, and I will resume our normal activities. So we'll give it just a couple of minutes here, and I'm going to get everything kind of situated back. Also, Jeremy Newman on the side of Push just sending in to me that there's multiple damaged trailers and 11 where that's at. So I'll try to listen on some of the things and get you some more updates over the next couple of minutes. So with that, Zach, I'm going to hang up with you and let you talk for another minute or so, and I'm going to get regrouped, and I'll join you right back.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so we are officially tornado warning free. So that is encouraging. Have not seen any. Obviously, we're getting reports of damage from you all. Nothing from the National Weather Service that I've seen thus far. Still watching the area just north of Reynoldsburg and west of Pataskala for an enhanced area of rotation. Looks like 1 mile southwest of Orient, train spotter reported the roof of a garage is damaged and several large branches down, possible tornado. So that would line up with the potential debris signature we saw earlier. So that report makes some sense. And really, this area right there near Blacklick is persistent, if nothing else. So we'll see what they decide to do with that. Take a look at a different radar here. Not seeing anything in correlation. And there may be. The radar from Wilmington's getting to be a little far, but the terminal's definitely got a little bit of something. Right there, just west of the airport.
Okay. Back now, and I may have forgotten my phone, but that's okay. Real quick, I wanted to update a couple folks here. Did get a confirmation from scanner traffic that at the Darby Creek Trailer Park, there is where a brief tornado may have touched down, according to scanner traffic from the side of the post. I appreciate the report, Jeremy. Thank you very much. Again, I don't know if that is with this storm that's crossing through Columbus and Obetz now. Those of you out in the Groveport area, you guys are okay now to come out of your tornado shelters. All tornado warnings at this point have been allowed to expire. So let's look at that new tornado watch too, so we can kind of graphically show you. This does include essentially all of southeast Ohio into West Virginia and goes until 6 o'clock. Couple of things and a couple of reasons why here. Number one, a line of storms crossing US 23, moving eastbound, and then we still have a secondary line of storms, albeit it's likely not severe, coming through Union, Champaign, Clark, Madison, Greene, and Clinton counties. Likely still some gusty winds potentially with that, but not anything nearly as intense as what we've been watching for the last couple of hours here, working across parts of Columbus down into Circleville. Now, as you're talking about Circleville here for a moment, just to the east of town there towards Loganell, and then eventually over towards Amanda into Fairfield County, that's an interesting looking thunderstorm right there. We could still be seeing some pretty strong gusty winds with that. Not necessarily anything tornadic. There's no warnings out or anything for that, but so we'll have to watch that very closely. And if any warnings are issued over the Middle Ohio Valley, we'll of course give you an updated video with that situation over there as we continue to move forward in time. So let's see here. Okay. So with this said, folks, again, right now we have no tornado warnings. We still have one severe thunderstorm warning, and based on some of the reports that we're starting to get, going to hang around here for just a little bit longer. I know Zach's been reading off some of these reports here this afternoon, but again, conditions are still favorable. But if you're now west of I-71, your severe threat is almost over. If you're west of 75, your severe threat is over. We have just one severe thunderstorm warning, and Zach, I don't even see any reports to the north from that storm that came through Findlay. I know that's not too far from your territory, but how are things up your way?
Very wet. Not too windy. I was actually about to check the weather station at work to see what kind of wind is coming through there. I do know all the warnings were canceled a little while ago. So still, let's see. We've had a peak gust of 37 there, so
Okay.
nothing too surprising. Still watching the area near the terminal radar in Columbus. The persistent area of heightened velocities that's just kind of been cruising on through there.
Yeah, that's kind of the best term I think to use is heightened velocity, just because it's been kind of interesting to say the least. So I apologize, the camera might not have focused me back in there. So we're watching kind of this area here towards Pataskala. That'll cross into Newark and Hanover eventually. Still watching this back here towards Columbus. When this came through my particular location, it got very windy for a short amount of time, a quick downpour, and now it's gone. Not necessarily saying that anything is necessarily happening there. Thank you to my girlfriend for bringing my phone back, and I left it out after getting out of shelter there. I don't know how that would have happened, but so the location of that particular trailer home park where there's multiple damaged trailers with a gas leak is at the 10,000 block of Darby Creek Road at the trailer home park there. So that report that was on our comments there on O&W was correct and was verified. So I appreciate all that update and information very, very much. You guys have been very helpful today. We've been on air now for quite some time. And Zach, I'm almost thinking this little bit of a bow echo here coming through, very small, but a very small kind of bowing structure coming through the east side of Columbus right now.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it's trying to transition into a little bit more of a straight line wind kind of event there, but it's definitely starting to bow out a little bit.
I would definitely concur with that, and that is something we're going to have to continue to kind of watch and see what happens with that. And obviously we saw the severe thunderstorm warning, and I would start to think now at this point this could become the lead issue for that, and not so much the massive rain and thunderstorms that had originally prompted all the tornado warnings for the Columbus metro. So that's kind of where things are. And Zach, I'm almost interested. This line of storms back to the west of Columbus almost looks more impressive than the storms that just prompted the tornado warnings a short time ago.
Yeah, I agree. They almost look still more organized as a straight line wind threat, but they are kind of fairly organized as solid lines the further east they move.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So to recap tornado reports, we've only had one confirmed so far, and that was from the National Weather Service, and a video as well that had kind of taken place near Germantown, and that's the only one we have confirmed so far. There is, again, a report of multiple trailers damaged with a gas leak and electrical issues as well, ongoing at the Darby Creek Trailer Park on the 10,000 block of Darby Creek Road. I'll be working to try to share some video from that here momentarily so that we can kind of get everybody up to speed on what's going on there. I've not had a chance to check our inbox for any reports from anybody either, but again, you guys have been fantastic today working with us It's been quite a busy afternoon, to say the least, and appreciate Zach as well. Okay, so do have video here of a funnel cloud at 104 and 316. This would be down in Pickaway County, and I'm going to venture that that is with the storm that crossed northern Pickaway County into the Groveport-Lockbourne area. So I'll try to share that here in a little bit as well. Also, another funnel cloud reported near Mattville Road. I'm going to assume that that is also in Pickaway County. That may have been with the secondary storm that kind of came through Grove City, or the one that's now crossing the Columbus Airport and kind of moving away. I'll try to see if I can get some exact timestamps on some of that. Yeah, so we're watching all this stuff really, really closely for you. We still have an active tornado watch until 6 p.m. this evening for Central Ohio. So, yeah, until 6 p.m., that is correct. And then until 7 o'clock tonight for Southeast Ohio and just a few counties in West Virginia. So that's kind of where things stand. But I do kind of want to still hang tight here for just a little while longer. We may eventually take a break here shortly to kind of regroup. And then, of course, we can come back on if warnings are issued. I'm interested to see what happens with this activity. These velocity signatures are kind of driving me nuts today. But down here south of Amanda, towards Tarleton and Laurelville in here, seeing a spot, Zach, especially on storm relative velocity. That has my attention there south of Amanda. And also south of Tarleton near Laurelville, kind of right in there. They're very small spots, but it'll be interesting to see what comes of those.
Yeah, there's kind of as these little cells develop in southern Ohio where they haven't gotten as much rain. They're all kind of getting this little small hook shape to them. None of them are doing anything impressive, but they all kind of have a similar shape to them, which is kind of what we've seen most of the day today.
Yeah, so a couple things, and as Zach was pointing out, there's a little bit of hooks to them. That's with this activity right here. Okay, so that's from Lancaster down to Amanda, Laurelville. That's coming into Hocking County here shortly. No warning on that, but that could change shortly. Really, this activity up here into Licking County, this is just mainly rain, but I do want to caution you on the east side of Columbus, just getting a report here of some minor damage near Blacklick, mainly things like some small tree bins down, trash cans blown all around, and some flag poles with the flags damaged, but no substantial damage reports in Franklin County that I can tell of as of just yet. I'm going to work to try to get some more information from the Darby Creek area and try to get some video if we can to share that here shortly once we get a chance to catch a break here in just a little while. So real quick too, those of you in London, you are getting hit again with some gusty rain and wind. I don't even know if they even, they don't have any special weather statements now for that. Might see a rumble of thunder or two. Little bit of an isolated discrete cell still down here towards Washington Courthouse. And again, so they've maintained the tornado watch, and I'm kind of interested to see if this is going to come of anything, because this line that you see here west of Columbus, kind of near and west of I-71, may still carry a limited severe threat. And I only say that just because the tornado watch is still in effect. The Weather Service has not dropped any counties that are getting that right now. I'm going to check my Tempest here at home and see. We still have winds out of the southwest, so I would venture to say that we could still see a limited severe risk with this line. Not had a chance to look at any of the meso-analysis, but don't be surprised if you get an isolated wind gust or two. And I see some additional reports are coming in of at least gusty winds from out in the Miami Valley, but based on some of the timestamps on these, it's really hard to say if these are with the secondary line or if this is something else.
I think a lot of it is behind that secondary line. So just winds moving in as kind of this whole system pushes east.
Okay. Did just get a report out of Bluffton, Ohio here at 3:59. So this is a little bit behind, but a couple pine trees are down 5 inches in diameter. Sorry, tree limbs 5 inches in diameter are broken near I-75 between Beaver Dam and Bluffton due to thunderstorm wind gusts. So reports of damage today as far north as Lima. And we're obviously still seeing these ongoing thunderstorms across central Ohio primarily. A couple cells here into Kentucky bear watching, but these are quite a ways away from the best dynamics here across central Ohio, so we'll watch and see. But if you're in Lawrence County, might still want to just be on the safe side. There's nothing really going on here. The Weather Service, and I believe that's Wilmington issued that one. No, sorry, that's Charleston covers Greenham County. Forgot about that. They've got that one cautioned for 40-mile-per-hour gusts and some dime-sized hail, but nothing overly concerning there. So if you're watching us from the Middle Ohio Valley here this evening, we do have a tornado watch for most of the area until 7 o'clock tonight for Zanesville, Parkersburg, Athens, Logan, up to Cambridge, Caldwell, Jackson, Pomeroy, Gallipolis, and then obviously across central Ohio is where really things have kind of maximized today from the Miami Valley right into central Ohio is kind of where the worst of this has happened. And Zach, I think we have kind of a couple areas south of Lancaster potentially, and I know you kind of already pointed that one out. Spot coming through Columbus to the east still is interesting, and now they actually did just take the tornado watch back. So it's still in effect for Columbus and then Union and Madison counties, but not Fayette County. So maybe that secondary line is not carrying much of a severe threat like I thought maybe it did. But I would think in the next 30 to 60 minutes, our best short-term risk of severe weather. And actually, let's look at SRV here east of Columbus. Really, SRV's kind of been our best look today. The storm relative velocity would not normally be the product that we always necessarily look at, but we do like to look at it. So what it's showing here, though, maybe it's a little bit of broad rotation, and we've seen this a lot today. And so we may still be seeing some strong winds with this. That's going to cross Reynoldsburg, head over towards Blacklick, and then eventually over into Pataskala. That'll be crossing the terminal Doppler site in Columbus shortly. What's your take on that area, Zach, in particular? And then also the SRV product down south of Lancaster looked interesting, too.
Yeah, it all looks like it's still kind of weakly trying to get itself together, especially right there, kind of exiting Columbus near Reynoldsburg. The storms right there kind of south of Lancaster look even a little bit less, or they look better on reflectivity, but velocity-wise, they don't look as good as kind of what looks interesting there near Reynoldsburg.
Yeah, that was kind of my take too, and I don't know if the terminal Doppler has storm relative velocity or not. We're going to find out. They do, and so just a little spot here, right near Reynoldsburg. Okay, it's broad, but we've seen signatures not much stronger than that produce at least some wind damage today. So definitely want to keep a close eye on that over the next few minutes. Reflectivity is going to kind of be a crapshoot, but because we're so close to the radar, and you're probably getting some rain fade there. But let's go back to Wilmington for reflectivity on that. Looking a little closer to Reynoldsburg here. Yeah, so you're talking Main Street here. That's US 40. Broad Street. That's State Route 16 up to the north there, and you've got I-70 here to the south. You're talking near Reynoldsburg, Pickerington. Once this crosses Reynoldsburg and Bryce, at least for the short term, your severe weather chances will start to diminish. We still have this secondary line, which now they just put a very large special weather statement out for pea-sized hail and gusts up to 45 miles per hour. There for a while, there was not even a special weather statement on this, so they're starting to re-intensify that language just a little bit once again. But I really think the severe threat on that line is very, very limited to pretty much non-existent for the most part. Can never totally rule out anything, but I tell you what, folks, for right now, we don't have any active tornado warnings. I know a lot of you around Columbus are asking for some updates, and we're going to try to get some updates on some damage, try to get some updates. There's several reports of some small skinny rope type funnel clouds around the Franklin County area in central Ohio. I'll try to get some videos on that. But in the short term, the best chance of seeing any kind of severe warnings, whether it be severe thunderstorm or tornado, are going to be across central Ohio, down into the Hocking Hills, and then ultimately over towards Zanesville, New Lexington, McConnellsville, that general vicinity for about the next hour or so. And hopefully as these storms continue to move away from the better dynamics, we will start to see things really start to weaken and our severe threat really start to decrease. So we'll watch all that for you this evening. Zach, is there anything else you want to add?
I just want to relay a couple more reports that came in.
Okay.
Well, it looks like north of New Carlisle, this was shortly after 4 o'clock, they got reports of holes in the roof of a house.
Oh, okay.
So not sure if tornado, hail, wind, what the deal is there. And then 5 miles southwest of Dublin. This is from Indiana. I'm sorry, Fayette County, Indiana. So shortly before 2 o'clock, trees and power lines down.
Okay.
So some damage caused back in Indiana.
Okay. I also see a report there near Christiansburg of a barn down, and there was a tornado-warned storm in that area at that particular time. So we'll see if that comes of anything. We'll continue to watch all these reports here for you, and of course, if any additional warnings are issued, we'll come back live with you. So for the near term, again, Central Ohio down to the Hocking Hills, and then kind of eastward here towards places like Zanesville, New Lexington, McConnellsville. Kind of the immediate term, that's where the best chance of severe weather is going to be. And of course, if any additional warnings are issued, we'll come back live on with you. So for John Tenney, who was on with us earlier, Zach Batten, and our entire Bell Park Weather Network team, I'm forecaster Nick Dunn. Have a great rest of your afternoon, everybody. Stay safe when thunder roars, go indoors, and remember, have multiple ways to receive weather alerts for you this evening.